You've got me, myself today, John. We've got Adrian and Keith. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, not too bad.
I'm good.
Friend of the pod, Ash, is back. How you doing, bro?
What's going on?
Yeah, you alright?
Yeah, I'm cool, man. How are you?
Good.
Happy Arsenal won.
No, don't. What you say? That's only comes when Arsenal win.
I've had
There is a correlation, though. There is a
terrible
correlation.
record. Every time I come, we don't do that well.
That's true.
And this is the first time we won. I've been here.
Oh.
So,
And we've also got a very special guest. We're trying to, as I always say, we're trying to bring in people from the game who can give us an actual perspective, a real perspective within the game. So welcome to Junior Montgomery, academy coach at Charlton. How you doing, bro?
Very, very good. Could be here under better circumstances.
Oh yeah, we'll
delve into that later. I'll
Yeah.
try and keep it a secret.
Nah.
Players at the club, because I will get hammered. So it's going to be out there now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Hopefully not. I was gonna say we're recording on Sunday, the 26th of Jan, so you can guess who he supports and why he might not have wanted to come on today. But yeah, really appreciate you. Joining us. I think what we'll cover today is we'll have a bit of a potted history of Junior's career and pick his brains at some of the things in youth football today. You know, we like to get the insights into that as people are getting it through the game, younger. Every time I put my Instagram, there's another 14 or 15-year-old training with the first team. You know, so it'll be interesting to get some of Junior's views. We'll run through the Premier League results as always. There's been a few bangers.
Some talking points.
Yeah, indeed. And Postecoglou does another home special against Leicester. Bournemouth. Cliver has found the spirit of his dad.
Yeah,
he's moving.
yeah.
He's moving very swiftly through teams. Liverpool annoyingly are marching on. Arsenal grind out a win against Wolves. Man City, we'll see. Can we use the B word? Yeah, are they back? And then we'll round up the rest of the games. Talk a bit about David Moyes. I will take my cooking on that one. The January transfer market so far, you know, we've probably got 7 days. I think it closes on February the 3rd.
Yeah.
You know, have a look and say, look, is this typical for a transfer market or has it been a little bit quieter? We'll look through the final Champions League games this week. I think all 18 games are going to play at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no gamesmanship around that. And, you know, there was a lot of chatter about the Champions League format when it changed. In hindsight, has it been a success? You know, do you think some people would change their opinions? And also, has it been enough to stave off the threat of the Super League, right? And also, we'll do a little check-in on our mate Mbappe. He was going through a rough time, but I think he's found his feet again.
Just a bit.
Sounds good.
Cool, yeah. So, Junior, welcome. Thanks for coming on. So, you want to get into like your coaching career. So, what are the driver behind you getting into coaching?
I was thinking about this when we initially spoke, and I think I played a bit when I was younger. I think I was at Chartlon for a little while, and but I had a real love for the game, like a real love for the game. From when I was younger, we'd play with my brother outside. I even had the little Roberto Baggio things with the beads on it.
Yeah,
I had them.
The little tail.
I was on it. We played little 1v1s, 2v2s. I was on it. My brother was the keeper. So I played a bit. Like I'm not a giant. I'm not a 6'5" centre back. So
well, you're a techie though. Like I played against you when we were kids. Like you.
Yeah. So I was a technician. I was a technical player. But I'll reveal my age now. So I'm in my very, very early 40s. Very early.
I said very early.
Very, very early 40s, yeah?
Any age from 40 to 44.
I'll leave it up to you.
Well, if you're Keith's Bridget, I can guess.
No need.
Yeah, so I was probably about 13. I think I was at Chartlon at that period of time. And I remember I was released because it was around my height. It's something that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I remember that kind of hurt me. How I reacted to it wasn't particularly, and the support around that. Probably made me a better like dad. It's made me a coach in terms of when people were going through like negative situations. So I think I stopped playing for a while. Went out and done things that boys do. Iron Appa, Ibiza, all that kind of stuff. Stepped away from the game, and then I come back and played like a bit of non-league, like Greenwich Borough, Sevenoaks Town, that type of level.
Yeah.
And I met, I think Adrian. We had a decent Sunday team, Adrian Binns, and won a few things there.
Yeah, definitely.
Some good memories in the change room there, some good nights out. So yeah, I think when I was on a buildings, I think I was doing some labouring actually. I think many years later, and I saw a discounted course on in London 2012 Olympic Games, and I liked the discount at the time. And then I thought to myself, let me go with that. And then and yeah, I found myself into coaching via that. And I think it was just around like create an environment that can develop players. Like and we'll probably touch on my philosophy in a bit, but yeah, so ability, basically something to like create something for yourself really. Right. So yeah, that was it really.
So was that like a level 1 coaching or something like that?
I done my level 1, and then I think I'd done my level 2, and I met a guy who was at Bromley's under 13s at the time, and he was a coach there, and he asked me would I be interested in. You got on with him, and he asked me would I be interested in like joining him, blah blah blah. And him and his dad was running the team, and his dad was a roofer. And I said, yeah. His dad lasted a couple of weeks, and then just me and him kind of
took it on.
And it was it was a successful team. Like it was winning a lot, won the league, winning a lot, but like we was like relying on individuals. And I remember one particular individual, Tanto. I think Tanto's now got signed to me. I think he's now at Sutton. But I remember him leaving, and the coach was like in the change room, "Don't worry, mate. Boys, once Tanto gets released, he's going to be back with us." Blah 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 blah. And it was just like we were relying a lot on individuals. There's no style of play. Bottles were getting kicked up in the air. Things weren't quite going the way that he perceived it to be going. The training was not really developing the players. So yeah, during that period, I met someone on the sidelines at a team called like Bride and Ropes.
Yep.
And I think you might have heard of them.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, so they're from around the area, like Chartlon area. And I was asked to set my own setup up. And then when they heard I was leaving, Bromley was like, we would like you to stay, take over the team, blah, blah, blah. But I'd kind of already committed to this new setup. And a man called Clive, who was a chairman there. So I remember my first, I put out some adverts with my friend's missus. She was a teacher at a school. Went to watch some district games. But I remember standing there at Charlton Park and like not knowing who was going to turn up. Yeah. So I was waiting there, and there was probably about 10, 11, 12 boys that were going to come down. And then it was like, so I had boys turn up in school uniform. You know what the area is like. Kids just, they're busted down shoes. Just wanted to play. So I was like, bloody hell. But I knew it was the right thing to do. So I built them up. Like the first season done all right. We finished up mid-table in the Kent Youth League. Then we progressed again. And in under 15s, we won the Kent Youth League. Had an assistant with me. Then under 18s, carried on, won the London Cup with them. And then I went on to manage the first team at Bride and Ropes. And so I managed in the FA Cup as well, with men's football. So my team would always have a philosophy of like, so my philosophy is, if we've got the ball, the opposition can't score. That's my philosophy. Yeah, it's around simple, that. It's around that. And obviously what you do around that is obviously how you press and stuff like that. How you defend is obviously, there's like nuances. You've got your own philosophy around that. But so the team's done well. And it was, it's been a good journey till now.
Okay.
So, because I know you quite well through Sunday football and stuff like that, would you consider your start into football quite late? Because in terms of running the team, or did you feel it was a good age? Because when did you start?
It's a good question. Like for me, it was a right age for me. Mm-hmm. So I was just turned 30. I'd had my first daughter, when I was 30, and it was like I was on the site at the time. So I'd done loads of things before. I'd been in retail, Selfridges, Harrods, JD Sports, Foot Locker, done them all. Done them all, and loads of other different things in between that. So I was on a building site, and there was like dudes like picking up carrots off the floor, eating them like them raw, like Eastern European guys. Like it was and it was cold weather. And I saw the course, and obviously I've got a passion for football. And then I thought to myself, like, why not? And then, so for me, it was the right time. Before, probably wouldn't have been the right time. I probably wouldn't have had the the discipline. I enjoyed going out when I was younger. Like you know me a little bit. And obviously the boys. So I'd enjoy going out. I'd enjoy going out, doing whatever I'm doing, like, and having a good time. But like, yeah, you couldn't do that now with the coaching. Like, I'm in every night, like with my daughters. That's what I enjoy. So
Studying the game.
yeah, studying the game and that. So it's the right time for me.
From Bryden, how did you get from Bryden to Brighton?
Yep. So I think I was in my second year at Bryden, so I was doing the under 14s, and a guy called Pete Breffel, who had previously been involved at Bromley, was setting up a team to coach at Whiteleaf, which is a Brighton Water Development Centre, so to basically attract more street boys.
Oh yeah.
Because obviously their catchment area in Brighton, half of it's the sea. So when you're in academy, you've got a radius of boys you can locate from.
Oh, okay, the circle.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a radius. So part of it's the sea.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
So they can't.
That's
they
not
can't
fair. You couldn't adjust it for them, no?
So say they
Some Aquaman.
So exactly that. So that they couldn't. Their recruitment pool, and the typical type of Brighton player would be known as quite nice, technical, like white boys, quite like technical, but not always the most. When it comes to the physical side, may struggle a bit. A lot of stuff like, so there's like stereotypes and that it exist, and like
They wanted a few street boys from London.
Huh?
They wanted a few street ball players from London.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So it's Crystal Palace territory.
Yeah.
Whiteleaf.
Yeah.
So he was all right on their toes. So I was there when that set up. So we asked me to set up a team there, and that's gone on to strength to strength. So like, so I was there, and I started off there, and it was just like, what age groups was it? It was, I think I was doing like the 10s to 13s or something like that. Yeah. But like a lot of good players that come through there, and like obviously going to the academy. But like Rio Ferdinand, had these boys there. And I remember one time, like, it's little things like this that give you confidence. Like I was doing a session, and his boy must have been there. And obviously, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Rio's here." But for me, obviously, you kind of know the person I am. I just get on with what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just how I am, bro. Like I can't. I'm never, even in the environment that I'm in, and we'll probably touch on this later. I've never been the type. I'm not a submissive person.
Yeah. You don't get
you're not starstruck.
I'm not starstruck. I'm not a submissive person, and even in the game, and we'll touch on Brighton and like even like the coaching environment, because we mentioned the difference between Charlton and Brighton. It's like, how I grew up. It's like I've not got that mindset. I'll just do what I'm doing. I'll do what I'm doing. So anyway, but like obviously he was cool, but and he was like my guy at the time who was heading it up said, "Oh, you got a fan there?" And I was like, "Oh," he goes, "Oh, Rio thinks you're a quality coach." So from time when someone's won the European Cup,
and they've been around the best coaches as well.
They rate what you do. You're on a good track, and that was only when I was starting out. I've done a bit, obviously, a few years. So from there, I went into like the pre-academy, the younger age groups, and that. And then what did I do then? And then I started working across the age groups. So I was still living in South East London, but I was traveling down. But lots of experience, seeing how they work and stuff, and I had a good relationship with a lot of people there. So I was there for about 4 years.
Okay. Nice. So you're at Charlton now. How did that move come across? And one of the questions I had is like, when coaches move within clubs, even at that level, is there kind of any animosity or bad blood between clubs? Because obviously, if you're kind of being touted as a good coach, they want to keep you. So how does that kind of work out?
So in my situation, it was like it's a very amicable, like good relationship. Right. Like, and the head of coaching there made it like quite clear if I ever like wanted to come back, then that would be fine. So mine was at a weird time because it was like around COVID. So COVID happened. So I was like, by that time I was the first team manager at Brad and Ropes as well. So I'm managing men in the FA Cup.
Okay.
I think I was the only manager to ever in their history win a game in the FA Cup. So we progressed, because I think they entered in, what round was it? It was a very early rounds, but nice little bit of history there. But it was in COVID times. So like, COVID stopped when, for all you guys probably know, it was a weird time for COVID. Like you stop and then you you've got a lot of time to think, do I actually even need to do that? Like your whole schedule changes. That was for me anyway. Like,
I think
it
it wasn't enlightening. You realise that
You do.
I don't want to say that was a lot of things you were doing in your schedule was a waste, but it wasn't as important as maybe you made it, or actually not doing it.
Yeah, you really
it's
priorities.
Yeah,
right?
it's not as much at the end of the world as you may have thought before. Yeah, agree.
Yeah, exactly that. So you just question why you're doing it and stuff like that. And like men's football is obviously different to like developing like elite young players. It's like when I was doing the men's football, like there was no budget. So it was like, if you're losing games, so we started off okay. No, we started off not particularly great, which is not easy. Particularly when, like, obviously, if you look at myself, I'm not like a typical kind of manager that you may see on the touchline.
Yeah.
Traditionally, my age growing up, like it's very like people got a perception. Even when I was coming in today, like I went to Blue Water to get my daughter a jacket, and I thought, let me get myself a little new top just to come on there. And I thought, should we get something? I was in Zara looking at some things, and I like some bits from Zara. But it was like, I put up his plane, but it just wasn't me.
Yeah.
It just wasn't who I am, because I'm linked with, that person wears that when they're on there, that person
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
that, looks like that. I thought to myself, nah. And it was a really wise man that he's in my gym. Like, he trained Arnold, his uncle, I think, trained Arnold Schwarzenegger, like black guy, really wise guy, like, but not a bit of hate in his body, just really positive. And I've known him for a few years, and he was like to me, like, your strength is your difference. Like, how you are, like how I interact with, obviously he's not seen me interact with the boys, but the way I get a lot out of the boys. I always have, like, good relationships with, like, all the kids. And it's like all of my stuff that I had growing up, like, even a bit more context to that. So my mum, I grew up in like Abbey Wood to the age of like, I was like 10, and then I moved to Eltham when Stephen Lawrence, like it was about 6 months after the Stephen Lawrence thing happened. Literally, it was about, my mum lived about 5 minutes from there, and I remember I walked around. I'm not sure if I'll be able to say this word, but I remember walking around the corner after about a week. I'm not even out a couple of days, and some white man shouted down, "What are you doing around here? What are you doing around here?"
Yeah.
Like, when I was only a kid, I've been like, I was about 12. I also got like, it was about a few 16-year-olds got on the bus, punched me on my mouth. I caught up with a boy about 5 years later, caught up with the kids. So that's another, but it's like, so all of that type of stuff like builds a resilience in you as a person. And then obviously, growing up, a lot of my friends, obviously, like I've got now, as you get older, there's a mix.
Diversify your friendship circles and who you interact with.
Yeah. But obviously, like, and then obviously, so I was going out, and then there'd be issues. So it's just, for me, it's about the person.
Yeah.
It's about the person. Who the person is. Like, so I've grown up on like both sides, and I've experienced quite a bit. So it builds resilience. So. So it's like, but and you kind of like have to put, sitting down at Brighton, like when I'm on the coaching table eating lunch, it's cool, the people are nice, but like, you're the only bammy like coach. I've never jumped on the course using that. People do. I'll do
the
what
whole
I'm doing.
BAME thing and all
I'll
that,
do what I'm doing because of me. I don't need that. Like, I'm doing what I'm doing for me. So it's like, So where was I? So it's it's all of your experience shape you. So like, I don't know, and it probably informs my philosophy, even supporting Tottenham. I'm not just gonna say
it's out now. It's out now.
And this is this is how random the story is. Like I said, you're growing up in Abbey Wood, and this is a quick one. There was a boy, I was in the year before I left primary school, and my best friend at the time, this guy called Nicky Wallace, I think his name was, and I've never seen him since. So like, I was in the year 5, and he goes to me, "Look at this card here." It was Gary Lineker.
Oh yeah. And
he goes, "Oh, this guy, he's sick. He's like, he won Tottenham won the FA Cup. He might not even say the word sick. He said, he's really good. You should support him like me." So I said, yeah. I left that primary school. About 2 months later, I moved to Eltham. I've never seen the boy again.
But now you're stuck with a team for life.
My dad and my brother both support Man United. I support Tottenham.
Just randomly.
How random is it? But that's the type of person. So I'll get it. I'll give it. Like, I'll try not. That's why I try not to, because I try not to get into it. Especially with Tottenham, we're forever fighting a losing battle.
So we blame Nicky Wallace, Nicky
Wallace.
I'm gonna say Nicky Wallace, bro. You done. I guess, kind of taking on the coaching side. It'd be interesting to know, because one thing I think I've learned over the years as a fan is the level of the first team, the men's team, doesn't necessarily tell you how good or not the academy is, right? So you hear clubs like Charlton or Palace, etc. You hear they got really, really good academies. So someone might immediately think, "Oh, wow, you're going from Brighton to Charlton," but actually in the academy world, what is that transition like? Is is Brighton held in a higher esteem? Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what I'm
understand.
getting at? Because from just looking at the men's team and the wider club, you might be like, whoa, where's he going?
Yeah.
But I think what I've heard secondhand is in the academy world is different. You've got some
Yeah,
you know first teams that are not doing great, but their academies are regarded as top quality.
Yeah, and that's why you got to do what's right for you. But it's like Charlton, for me, it's like I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It's close to me. Like, for example, like it's as well. It's different to like men's football.
Yeah.
So like when you're coaching in youth development, so it's like the games program's the same. So at Charlton, we still play Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. We play Palace today. So the games program's the same. Charlton like regularly beat, like not to say beat, but they can compete because of the players they've got in these
Yeah,
phases.
see, that's what I mean.
Particularly the foundation phases. Charlton compete with all of them. Like today, I wasn't particularly happy with the performance, so we'll go into that. But today, for example, my under 11 team beat Palace 4-0 at Charlton. But so it's not. But there's the players. There's not a massive gap between them. Arsenal and Chelsea probably like got the and Tottenham have probably got the like the real the cat ones. But those clubs still come and look at Charlton's players to try and recruit them.
Yeah.
Because of where Charlton is based. So you're still working with very good players at Charlton. Very good.
Can I ask a question on that? So speaking about like parents, and you speak about the young people there, what's your relationship like with those parents? Say like you've got someone who you really want to keep, but they've got like say Tottenham or Arsenal or Chelsea. How are you approaching that conversation? Being as someone who's obviously been in the game and seen it, but also you're looking at this young talent like for their next steps. How do you go about approaching those kinds of conversations?
And just to follow on to that, because it's like similar but different, is at what age does that now start to splinter off? So we've just talked about, look, you guys still at your age group,
Foundation phase,
etc. But at what age group do they start come hunting, and then that starts to, Chelsea end up having all these guys that can make the first team, etc.
So I think around under 11, under 12, people can start like, I'm not sure if it's a little break in the contract, but there's a kind of I think there is some kind of loophole where things can be done. But then like compensation has to be paid for the amount of years that the player's been at the club. And I think there is definitely like, they try and like ring fence it. So if clubs are doing it illegally, they can be like investigated. So they do try and protect clubs that way. It changes in terms of like the program when it gets to like, I think the youth, I think about under 16s. I think, or it might be under 18s. I think it's under 16s though, that it starts to become what's it called? You don't play the Cat ones kind of have their thing, and then the Cat twos have got their own like league.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? So that's when there's a real difference in terms of like the teams that they're you're playing. That's why that category status is like quite good to be. If you're a Cat one, then you're playing against other Cat ones. But Charlton still, like, I think they win their league quite regularly under 18s. It is a good club. So it's like, for me, in terms of it back to being about like asking what's the difference? Like, why would I have gone there? It's like it was very close, and the opportunity come up. Like again, Pete Bethel mentioned it to me. I should really thank him actually. To be fair, but he mentioned this opportunity to me and spoke to the head of coaching about it. And I went and interviewed there, and like because I kind of got tired of continuing to drive down. I'd kind of meant your question. It said about COVID. Made you think, why do I really keep enjoying this? And like I said to you, it was the whole environment. Yeah, it's great club, and I enjoyed it there. But yeah, it felt like a right time to try something new, and it's just like, I don't regret it. It's good. It's going well at the moment. So,
but just back to Ash's question about your relationship with the parents, and when these kids are, when a club has now come and has turned the parents' head essentially.
Yeah.
But you as a coach are thinking, actually, that might not be the best move for. What's your relationship like with the parents? How do you navigate that situation?
Right, so I try and be honest. Like, I'm not the phase lead, so it's like it's not my job to like say you should stay, you need to stay here, or you need to stay there. So how I perceive it is like a lot of coaches are different. Like people, some coaches don't talk to parents at all, or are very minimal. Like that's how they are. You get some coaches that are like really like quite friendly with them, and so for me, I treat the boys, because I'm in boys football, men's football. I treat the boys like they're my own kids. Like I'll be firm on them. I need to be firm.
Yeah.
But when there's someone might need their arm around their shoulder, and I need to be soft with them, I can do that as well. And not all kids are the same. So you've got to understand, like, it's understanding people. Like you guys, like you guys, I can already tell how you interact with each other. And I'm pretty sure. Well, I know you. It's like it is a skill. I kind of probably take it for granted, but you understanding kids and being able to read body language and what people need is important. So if you've got, for example, and it's happened, the question you've actually mentioned has happened a number of times over the past year or so, like Arsenal, Chelsea, Palace. So I can only create as good an environment at my age group as I can for them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, if and you know, I can't be their coach forever. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I can't do that. So if they feel like if the opportunity is there to they feel is a positive step for them and it works for their family, if they're happy, then that is what it is. Like, I don't take it personally. I'm not the club. And the clubs have to sort out the compensation and stuff like that. So I just do my best while they're with me, develop them to the best of my ability, make them a better player, make sure they enjoy the experience, and then the rest is the rest. But yeah,
cool. And then you touched on your philosophy in terms of you want your team to keep the ball. Is there any kind of conflict between how you want to play football and kind of how you're told the team should be playing?
Question.
And I was about to ask, is there almost like a mandate? Is there almost, okay, now you're a coach at Charlton Football Club. Yeah. This is how Charlton play. Yeah. And I want Junior's version of that. Or is it we want you to come and bring your thing to the team?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, so Brighton's philosophy is obviously slightly different to Charlton's philosophy. Okay. Like Brighton will be like possession heavy. Like they like possession in the deep areas. They'll play backwards. They regularly keep the ball. Like nice technicians. Whereas at Charlton, they like this to keep possession as well. But there is an emphasis on running forward and playing forward. There is an emphasis on that.
Possession with intent.
Yeah, possession with intent. That's a good word. That's a good word. Might you put that in my phone? No worries, man. No, you are a coach. Possession with intent. Yeah, exactly. So it's really well put. So there is that. I'm not being afraid to start, particularly older age groups as well, to around that words around intensity, desire. And then when you look at the players that we've got in like Southeast London, like around like Catford, Greenwich, Lewisham, like they're built that way, quite hungry. Like it's just how it is. I've grown up there. So that's why I get on with the players. So that's why I get on with the players, because I've grown up there.
And it's a competitive environment, you know. Yeah. Even when you're playing at school, if you're playing Sunday League, if you're playing five-a-side at the local, you know, it's competitive, man. There's so many people that are good. It's really competitive.
100%. And that's what goes into the football. Like when we're with, and I demand that. If I'm honest, I just demand it. That's part of how I demand it.
Because from playing with you on a Sunday, I just remember 100%. No matter what, like you could be right back, centre mid, centre back, and Junior's just 100%. So with that, like, what are some of the values that you like to instill in your players? You know, so obviously you've got Charlton's values, like they want to, the ethos that they work towards, but what are some of your personal ones that you try to get into all of your players to help them be as successful as they can be at the club, or if they move on from there?
Yeah, another good question. So I just touched on one of them, and it's just around like, I heard the word the other day, like the protagonists. Like I like the ball's ours. I said to the ball today, the ball's ours. The ball is our ball. Like it's not like we're kind of like lending it to steal it to get. No, it's our ball. Yeah. I want the ball back. I want the ball back. And when we get the ball back, we look after it. But then can we hurt them? Like, and then how like keeping possession, trying to break the lines and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't. We're talking about like possession. I don't mind teams going back, playing backwards to keep possession. Yeah. Do you know, and I think that there was that kind of like, I remember in the early days at Charlton, because I was going up Brighton, there was a little bit of like, no, we need to play forwards. We need to play forwards, and it's like, but sometimes that's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go back to go forwards.
Yeah. You really do. You really do. So at my own, that's why it's good to experience different clubs. Like you say, go around to different countries and experience some different things, and then coming across with some stuff that's worked for you. So working at Brighton, I took a lot from it. It's like super professional there. The training ground's stunning. Like it's super professional. The people there are good. At Charlton, like the boys there are hungry, like different type of people. Like I get on with all the coaches there. Like the boys are quality. Do you know what I mean? There's like it's not as like and obviously I can go anywhere and be kind of comfortable, but like there, because I've grown up there, like, obviously you can just speak to the parents about everything, and the Brighton parents are lovely. I still speak to quite a few of them now, but obviously it's it's just a different environment,
A bit more relatable.
Potentially, but that's not to take away from my enjoyment of the Brighton experience. But there is that because that's where I've lived. Then there is that relatability there, but that's not to say like I've got plans probably like to go out to I'm going to start learning Spanish. Yeah. So like I'll be doing a bit of around futsal and like futsal to football transference. Yeah. So I've done my futsal UEFA B as well. I've been doing some work with like the England captain Raoni Medina. Quality guys, Brazilian. Played with Cristiano Ronaldo at Sporting Lisbon as a footballer. And he found his way into futsal. So it's like it's interesting the people you meet on the way and talk about people and personal connections. The way that we kind of got on and its way it's progressed from there is really good. So it's like in the futsal, and I've learned loads of stuff from there. So on that course, there was a couple of other England internationals that I've kept in touch with. And I think I was speaking to you regarding the futsal, just qualified the under-11s for the Nationals at St George's Park. That's in about 2 weeks. So that's at St George's Park, and that's a Cat 1 tournament. Charlton don't get invited to that unless someone drops out. Yeah. Wow. But that's the third time I've done it. Not to big up too much, but that's the third time.
Come on, who else is going to do it if you don't?
No, it's true, and that's another thing I learned from someone else that said it. Someone else that said it to me. You're exactly right, and it's just like because I'll try and keep things humble because it's like. You can come. It's my nature. It's my nature, and sometimes it can come across as like
you're boasting
a bit arrogant. Whereas other people, and maybe it's my own thing about like my own perception of like black or mixed race can come across a bit like I'll try and be a bit like just professional and keep it a bit bland. That's why I thought to myself, I'll just wear what I want to wear today. I'll just be myself. That's all I'm going to do is be myself in a conversation, and it's just like. Yes, I've done that, and even so, that was when was that? Last Saturday, and then on Saturday the 21st, we had the under-10s. Qualified them for the EFL Nationals. Then on the Sunday, done it again with the 11s. So they've got the national futsal qualifiers for the EFL, and they've got the Premier League ones with the under-11s. So and the futsal stuff because they play a lot of it in Portugal, Brazil. Like Vinicius Junior played it a lot. Cristiano Ronaldo, a lot of them Portuguese badmen that you want to mention. Grew up playing futsal a lot. So it's like sort of tight area work. Like you have to be
heavier ball. So you got to do the footwork.
Got to keep it underground.
No long balls.
And I understand Germany is really pushing futsal at the moment as well. That's what I've read. Like Germany internationally, nationally, they're pushing it forward to get more ball control.
Yeah, it's starting to come into our program. So like next month in February, I'm doing Charlton to prepare for the nationals. I'm doing like a month of the training, and they're looking to roll it out. I know Chelsea are doing it, bringing it into their program next year because one of the Chelsea coaches was telling me. So it's something that's growing. Because I think you mentioned the future of youth development and stuff like that. So I'm doing quite a bit around because it's tight, like paired movement work, and a lot of the shapes are quite similar. So they're not just technical, but also tactical. You have to earn the space rather than it be given. Because on the football pitch, look how big it is. You can got your quadrants, right? But in here, in that tight area, you've got a kind of it's a little subtle things and how you earn like double movements or that kind of.
It's funny you said that. We were talking about five-a-side today. And we play in a group. We're playing a regular group, WhatsApp group, just some boys, and everyone loves the game. So there's always a clamour in that group to play on bigger and bigger pitches. Oh, let's play 7-a-side. Bob, let's book a 9-a-side, 10-a-side pitch. And I'm always the one that's putting the hand up, like, guys. The game might not be as fun because I know who plays there and I know how we can play. And as the game just gets wider and wider, people are going to slightly struggle. But then we play the 5-a-side game, and actually, to your point, you have to earn the space. You got to run around, etc. And people struggle with that a little bit as well. And that's why some people they're really great on 11-a-side. And you think, this guy's good. I'm going to bring him 5-a-side.
And then he embarrasses you. And then the reversion of that too, because certain people can do everything at 5s. They go to the bigger size pitch, they're lost, like, because you're not getting certain touches and stuff like that. It just completely shifts everything that's happening. Like, when like you play 11, you don't touch the ball for 10 minutes. Like that is different. Different.
It is a different game. It is a different game, and that's why we talk about like the transfer. Some things are transferable, but like it is different. But it's like. If you're in like Man City, they will do a lot of stuff around like trying to create little overloads like in certain areas.
Yeah.
like, and what that looks like. Well, that's futsal.
Yeah, that's
Like you just put that pitch down there, and that's what it is.
yeah.
Like, and you have to be brave. Like, and you said like five-a-side. Like, how it's hard when you five-a-side. The ball doesn't go out.
Yeah.
Like you're just constantly on the go, and it's the same as futsal. You put it ball down, you've got 3 seconds to put it in.
Yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, 3. So you have to think quickly. There's no time to switch off. Whereas if the ball goes out in football, it's a throw-in. So with the other side, the kids will daydream. Adults will daydream. People will daydream. Now you're on in that game. You're on it. So it's like, it's I found it quite good as a development tool for the boys. And the boys absolutely love it. I've got videos I'll show you guys at the end, but the boys absolutely love it. They're buzzing. Not just the celebrations, but even one of them was just saying, when we do their reviews, about of the 16 players we got, we asked them what's some of your favourite moments so far. And this was before we won it. Like 8 of them just said, "Oh, the futsal." And this was before we'd kind of done this was about 6 weeks ago. Before we'd qualified.
Yeah.
We had another experience. I think Chelsea were in it. 2 Chelsea teams. I think Chelsea won it, and that was just like a power play one where they play music. The goals are worth double, but the kids loved it.
Nice.
So from the enjoyment side of it, they love it as well. So I'm bringing a bit of that in, and I'm leading on.
So you're just incorporating. Sorry to cut you. You're just incorporating futsal as a sort of element of their training. Another element of their training.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just
So,
a futsal night. So it will be like, I haven't exactly narrowed down what it's going to look like because I've been so busy. But it'll be like, I think when did we start? Early in February. So it will be around. Because that is futsal. We were training for futsal, but I will do stuff like with them even before that, around like movements, like paired movements, like unopposed, like timing of the run, overlapping run, diagonal run, straight pass, like all of that kind of thing, like
straight run.
All of that kind of stuff. And then they get the timing, they get the weight of pass right. But it's just like, and that's a skill. Like weight passing's a skill. It's not all 360s. It's not all 360s and L shapes. Look at flipping Tony Cruz.
Yeah, man.
Kevin De Bruyne. They're not doing all of them mad things. It needs a blend. The whole thing is it needs balance. The whole thing. So Tony Cruz is a top player. He speaks for what passing's about. So Modric
And just computing all those different elements of it. I think that's the thing that presses me the most about Kevin De Bruyne, because he looks up and he just computes all the different things. All right, my man's gonna get there. These people are in the way. The best way for it to get to him is it.
top.
So when I look at some of these passes, people are like, "Oh, how did he see it?" Like, forget him seeing it. He then had to compute all of that and then execute it. So like him, the De Bruyne's, the Tony Cruzes, all those guys. I think that element of passing, Cesc, Fabregas. Do you know what I mean?
I think that comes into this stuff. I forgot what it's called. There's a. I was looking at it the other day. There's a model. And I think that level there is called unconscious competence.
Yeah. Okay.
Where he's just got, I think it's like conscious incompetence, where someone just doesn't know what they're doing and there's steps to it.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of research around it, but I can't give it to you
But they've
right
got the
now.
natural ability just to do it. It seems like.
So no. It means conscious competence means like is a skill. It's about skill level and like the practice. There's levels of practice to get to where you're to be an expert, and then you can just do things. When you become unconsciously competent, you are just flowing.
It's basically a
Because
motor
your
skill at
level
that
is
point.
It's like walking, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's what unconscious competence. You don't even have to think about it because he's got it locked down that much.
So just a couple more questions for you, Junior. So from your start at Brighton Youth to where you are now at Charlton Youth, what have been the major changes that you've seen, if any?
In the time that I've been in academy football.
Yeah.
Like in youth.
Yeah.
Between the two clubs or just generally?
Just in general.
Okay.
So kind
Over
of
the time, you mean?
Yeah, over the time period. So when you played,
You've been doing it for.
etc.
I mean, you mentioned 2010 initially, so you've been in it some time now.
Yeah. So in academy football, probably about nearly 10 years, so about between 8 and 10 years, something like that. And then, but in academy football, I won't say there's been any major changes, and like the way I think England I was speaking to the England's under 21s coach the other day. He's a top guy. He's at Charlton as well, Chris. And there's talking about the changes in the England's philosophy, more about there's a thing called DNA Plus now. So they're kind of evolving. A guy called Junior Montgomery's come in, and they're kind of trying to evolve. He was at Tottenham.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought the name sounded familiar.
How they're trying to evolve things, because obviously haven't won for a while, and what that looks like. But in terms of the programs and stuff, like I say, people are mentioning futsal and that kind of thing. But in terms of the program, I was looking at It's a syllabus the other day at Charlton. They've kind of updated it every now and again, but I think that you know, for all the facilities, all of the money, and all of the participants that we've got in this country that love football, they've not won anything since 1966.
Yeah.
The Spanish, look at the amount of managers, the English managers are in the Premier League. 2, is it?
Yeah.
Couple, not many.
Yeah.
The top talent gets signed from abroad. But Spain, Brazil, might have the odd Foden and the odd Saka. But I think Guardiola once said about like 10 years ago, he's got like Jack Wilshere, he's got like 15 Jack Wilsheres in his B team.
Yeah.
Like they've got so much talent abroad. So I think they're definitely like things can be done to produce more players. There can be more. I think more can be done. Like more, probably more open-mindedness to what other people are doing. Like Belgium, you mentioned Belgium, Kevin De Bruyne. I know they like Germany. They had an overhaul, didn't they? Germany, then they won the World Cup. They had a complete overhaul of their system.
Everyone's got a story, you know. Even France, after they didn't qualify for World Cup '94, apparently they kicked in and they did what they was doing, and then Clairefontaine, that's it, and then that came through. I think St George's Park was meant to be, you know, the English version. And to be fair, if you look at the results, 2 semi-finals, a final, you know, it's like the Champions League, innit? Everyone talks about, oh, you haven't won it for how long? The thing's not easy to win.
No, it's true. It's true. It's been better, but it's still like, what would you say is England's philosophy? No one still knows what the philosophy is.
Yeah, we
Southgate,
said
what
that
is it?
Yeah.
What is it? Like, we know what English players and the culture is like, obviously to work hard, to run, to compete, and all those type of traditional things, maybe to put crosses in. But it's like with Beckham back in the day and winning it, like, obviously we know how Spain play.
Yeah.
We know that German are quite vertical. We know like German are really efficient. Like Portugal, you know what they've got a style.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know England tried to go down the route of a style, but I think now that might be kind of evolving. So yeah, I think in terms of how things have changed, we'll see. I'm going to be doing this futsal thing, mate, and as a starting point, I'm doing other bits and pieces. I plan to go out and I've got some plans. I'll catch up with you in the future. I've got some plans to potentially go out and see some people in Barcelona around the futsal. So there's some interesting things going on. Like I've been out to Inter Milan.
Yeah.
I knew the head of coaching out there who's retired, has now passed away. I come across him at Bromley. His godson was at Bromley, and got on with him. But again, it's about the people, and if they see that you care,
they'll connect you.
You connect with them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he sent me through the stuff Inter done. So I went out and stayed with him. Amazing man, like class person. Like, I remember we was walking through the snow one day. It snowed heavy, and it was just me and him. My Italian's not brilliant, and his English is decent. But we were just walking through the snow for about 20 minutes, half hour. Didn't say a word to each other, but it was just peaceful. But he's a quality person that didn't let me pay for anything when I was out there. So it's interesting to see how the Italians done it. So for me, I want to keep learning and progressing, and then but I think you talk to your point about the philosophy and how things are changing. There's not been that I haven't seen radical massive change. Is that a good thing or not? I don't know.
So that kind of leads on to kind of the final question that I got in terms of from the outside, the kind of changes we've seen in kind of youth football, kind of lots of kids or parents of kids putting videos on Instagram and social media saying baller, Terrence, X1, and there's clips of like pinging ball in top corner, etc. What do you kind of see the future of youth football is going forward for in England?
There's a lot of stuff on Instagram that goes around, isn't there? There's a lot of Terrence.
I see some of these kids they've got more followers, and I wonder, is it more about that kid becoming an Insta star, or I think their thing is if we get this out there, someone will see it and might come and inquire, whatever. But it just develops a thing of its own. These kids are 8, 9, 10. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, there is a lot out there. There is out there. I think it probably is that. I'm not in Instagram. Myself, I'm not on it, like any social. I think it's definitely got its uses. Like it is good. Like it's got its uses. But I've never, again, the type of person I am. It's not something that I've kind of used. I don't knock it, but I can see it's like I've got daughters as well. I can see how kids can get absorbed by it and just get consumed by it, and that's their life. Like so for me, and it's their worth. Their whole worth is around that. So around the stuff like. There are some young players that are really aware that they're being filmed, and and they look at the camera because I'm involved in another. I've created I think it's called Born to Ball. You can check that on Instagram. That is on Instagram, by the way. It's good. So I got with another coach. He's a really good technical coach. Really good. I think he's just going to be starting at Brighton. And then I've got a plyometrics coach. So he does the technical, and he's really clean with the technical. Like clean because he's played at a good level. He's just a skills man, very clean. Like he's good. You can see it. We'll see the videos what the boys do. We've got a physical a guy that does plyometrics, how the boys move. So he ticks the physical aspect. So when we look at a player, we look at the technical aspect, tactical, physical, and psychological. They're the 4 corners. So we kind of with this Born to Ball thing, we kind of look at trying to cover that. So it's Declan will do the technical, Gervais will do the physical, and I'll do like the kind of the game-based stuff around decision making. Which the Instagram stuff, it looks great, but have they got any understanding of what to do with it?
Yeah.
So they might have them tools, but if you've got a screwdriver, but you don't know what to do with it, it's no use.
Well, it's like you said as well. Does he then have to find space? All the things that need to come together so you're effective in the game and you're executing in the game.
Yeah, so that's what I try and cover, and then obviously the psychological aspect of like giving them the confidence or understanding they need to like raise it. So we kind of cover all the aspects. So that's going well. So I'm doing that alongside what I'm doing at the moment. But it's it's interesting. It's interesting. The Instagram stuff and stuff like that. It's as long as it's healthy. I don't see it being a problem because some people do look at it, and there are some recruiters that do notice these things. So that is the reality.
Trying to get ahead right.
Yeah. That is the reality. That does happen. But then at what detriment to the kid? And are they? Because you get some kids, a lot of kids that will do stuff with their head down because they're so used to doing it that way, like mastering the ball, which is fine. If when they understand they're coming to a game, they can actually start to get their head up as well because it's not easy.
Yeah.
And then they're open to that as well because not everybody in a football pitch is like is a Vinicius Junior. It's brilliant, but it takes lots of different types. Yeah. So there's no right or wrong. We've got one player who's top player. He's signed to a Cat 1 academy, really good. But he does a lot of stuff with his head down and speaking to his dad, but he can actually start to do it with his head up when there are decisions to be made.
Yeah.
So
they learn.
They learn. So yeah.
I've got one last question, or maybe 2 questions, but I'll go with this one first. Like your journey into being a football coach is like, it kind of could be a story in itself because like I know you used doing labouring before and then to do that career change just like that, where you fell out of love of football, got back into football, and then you're like kind of actually your trajectory into like professional coaching has gone quite quickly. You know, some people start early. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, or what's your plan for the next 5 years, or where do you hope to be, should I say, in the next 5 years with football?
Yeah, I thought about that the other day. Again, and it's like I think that there's at times because you're not going to be. Essentially, you still look young. You're not going to be younger and more beautiful than you are now. Like none of us. None of us. So it's like I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment, but you do still have to start to plan. Like some people don't. Some people have got a really structured plan about that, what they want to do. And I was speaking to someone who's involved with England, and he was just saying to me the other day, he doesn't plan anything. It's just the way that these things come. He's quite ambitious. So for me, it's like more of a question of, do I want to start coaching like in older age groups and working towards men's football?
I was going to say that was going to be my direct question. Is there a desire to be a first team men's coach at some point? As you sit here today.
Part of me says yes. Part of me says yes. I won't lie to you because I am competitive. Like I like the competition of the 3 points, but I'm very much enjoying the development side, and I'm still developing. Like as my tactical awareness, even in the things that I'm doing, I still feel like I'm getting better. Yeah. I will still watch a lot of men's games. Like, I'll still speak to the people in the game who are involved with men's football, and I know that I could, at the right time, it'd have to be the right time. It would be that would be something that I could do, but I'm in no rush for it. Yeah, like everyone's got their own different journey and different path. Like I know my own journey, and we haven't even touched on. There's loads that if we've got to talk about other things and stuff like that. But my journey is very different, like to most people's, most people. So it's like, and before I'd kind of be a bit embarrassed about that journey, or like, but I understand now. Like I've got confidence in myself now that comes through experience.
And all those things made you the coach you are today.
Yeah, you gotta-
100%.
you
But
embraced
before I
it.
wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. But before I didn't look at it like that. Before I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah, I've
But
got.
now I do. So it's like, so where do I see myself in the future? I am enjoying it now, but I am thinking about some things, and like what the next steps look like. So I'll know like towards the end of the season what I want the next 2 or 3 seasons to look like.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So I've got a bit on a bit of a tangent, but something you said earlier about your philosophy. When I see coaches going to certain teams and they want to do things, but the players there aren't good enough to do it, I always think,
You gonna name names? Or?
no. But as football fans, we've seen that over times, or maybe they are. We think they're not good enough. And what do I know? I'm sitting at home watching on TV, but you hear coaches come out and say stuff, and clearly what he's telling you without telling you is these guys aren't good enough to do what I do. And as a fan, I think that's one of the biggest coaching conundrums. So again, your age group is different because obviously you're developing players, but as a coach, how do you think about that? What's the problem to solve? Is it about upskilling the players? Is it about you adapting what you're asking of them? Is it a bit of both?
Brilliant question. Brilliant comment to make. Like, and I've experienced it
Okay.
firsthand.
Yeah.
When I was at Brighton Ropes, like you've got some 30-year-old men, like 28-year-old men, like good men, like good guys, good men. Like and like when things didn't go the way we wanted it to go, because there was I left by mutual consent, sacked,
Yeah.
whatever you want to word it. Like because I think we had how did it go? So there was COVID. So we started off the season dodgy, but then we grew into it, and got quite a few players, attracted a few players, and we were balling. It was good.
Yeah.
Won like I think 5 out of 6, and then COVID come and it stopped the league. It stopped it, and then what happened was at the end of that season, quite a few people went for money. You know the level, so it's like people went for like 50 quid a week. Up to somewhere or 60 quid, and I can't knock that. Like they're gonna do that. So then you start off from scratch the next season, and again, it didn't start well. And the guy, Clive, who was a quality person who's passed away, he was just pure class, like a big part of like my early journey. Support me from when it was just me before I got an assistant. Amazing man, and he was like, he gave me the call and said, them not wanting to just move in another direction, blah blah blah. And it hurt me. It hurt professionally, my own pride. It hurt me. So I've experienced in men's football like getting the sack, mutual consent. Like so I've experienced men's football, which even in like in like
lower
say,
level
Charlton,
football or whatever.
in Charlton or other clubs at Brighton, people haven't experienced that.
Yeah.
But I have experienced men's
Yeah,
football.
yeah.
And one of the issues around that was you talk about the players not being good enough. It's like you've got 28-year-old, 30-year-olds who are like quality people, will give what they can for you, but they're really reluctant to try and play out from the back.
They're set in
They're
their
really
ways.
reluctant. They're
They've
just
never done anything before, anything else.
no, exactly.
but-
Yeah.
And they're from a generation where they get told you don't play crystal box and all of that.
Exactly that. So you're trying to coach that, so it becomes a real challenge. And then obviously they haven't got the quality. So when you lose that again and you have to build, it's not easy. So we had a lot of young players because there was no budget to give to players.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of young players and some good players. So it's like, yeah. The question, what was it around?
As a fan, I see that as for me personally, one of the biggest coaching dilemmas I've seen as a fan. So then, in your mind as a coach now, is it more about upskilling the players and getting them to a certain point, or you need to adapt what you're asking for to meet the expectations, or like everything in life is probably somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, it probably is somewhere in the middle because it's like I had that, and then I found myself like going direct at times, telling them to like hit certain areas, and that's not really me.
Hit the channel.
Not really being. It's not really me being me.
Go for the
because I was
seconds
under pressure. Like there was
get the
fans
results.
there. There was obviously a board, and you've got to walk in and see the board who were well intentioned, but they don't really. It's just the vibe. It's not nice when they don't want to look at you, but they're saying hello, and you don't want to look at them. It's just like it's. So you want to get results. You want to get results. Like so, it still wasn't bad. Like, but it wasn't. And I come to a point where I was getting in on a Saturday night, and it was like taking up my full space with my daughter. So I was with my daughters, but I wasn't there. I was thinking about the game because you're responsible.
Thinking about that corner in the 60th minute. And
I was thinking about it. Like, so being a manager is completely different to being a coach. It's completely different. So you can have your philosophies and and you went around development. That's good. It's brilliant. That's why I'm enjoying it. But I've experienced management, and it's just like that's why I'm not in a rush.
to go back there.
I'm not in a rush because I wasn't getting paid as well for my time. So I'm getting paid. I wasn't getting paid to have this weighing on me as
the
well. So,
stress.
yeah. And people were chasing it. I want to be a first team. I want to do this. I want to do that. You can be out the job, mate. Like there's people that leave academies and go and manage being the first team, which is fine. That's their ambition, and then they're out the job. And it's happened to a few people that I know. So it's like being happy is important. Like, I'm happy. I'm developing, and when you start having to compromise yourself and your beliefs, especially in mine, they're not the same as like people say. Oh, these youth can. I remember one lady was like, oh. Amazing! I think you're really good, like youth coach. I'm one of the best youth coaches, but I'm not sure his style kind of translates into men's football. Blah 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 blah. And of that level of player, it was probably correct. We probably didn't have the players, maybe potentially to play that way. But especially when you lose them, and then you have to build again, it's a constant process. So it's like, I don't really like compromising my beliefs. So like when you talk about Ange Postecoglou,
I will come to that.
We'll come to him in a minute. That's a slightly different level. But I can understand where he comes from in certain aspects. But adaptability is important. But
Nah, hold that thought, because I've got a rebuttal for that. Hold that thought.
I've got one last question though. Now you touched on it throughout this discussion about coaching and your identity, you know, your ethnicity, like how you present yourself at times, or you're aware of it, should I say?
yeah,
Do you feel that we're in a tide of change where we're going to see a lot more BAME? Is it BAME?
BAME.
and minority.
Yeah,
BAME.
BAME. Are we still using that term? I don't think we use that no
kind of
more.
redundant.
It's redundant now.
It
but-
helps you with your question, though. Go on.
But are we going to see a first team manager coming up through the system and actually taking over what quote unquote a big team? One, do you have anyone that's coming to mind or that you know of that is pushing or knocking on the doors?
Yeah.
And can you mention his name?
Yeah, so it's a good point that you make, like, because it's like if you're going for a job, okay, and so if you're working in a place and you know there's a vacancy, okay, and you know someone that's good, you can recommend him.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like you know the person.
Yeah.
And people say like the old Powers Act and people knowing people and stuff like that, but it's just naturally happens when people are employing people. If people know each other, they kind of give jobs to people they know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's a trust thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a trust
They
thing,
feel like
so-
they're taking less of a risk.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, because you've got also like the quotas and putting these things in place and that kind of thing, like almost just like false kind of like thing.
Positive discrimination type.
Yeah,
vibes.
So I can see how it could potentially work in terms of like if somebody gets the opportunity and smashes it, they're visible as a coach. Like for me, when I didn't really see any like black or mixed race coaches like me that like people's kids like got on with and could think like that could be me. Maybe I'm doing that. But I've had someone who went to my friend's wife's school, writ his GCSE paper on me. I used to play for me, and then he's now a coach. Do you know what I mean? So there's nice little stories in there like that.
That's crazy.
That's nice, but it's like, so if they get that opportunity, if all these like systems they're putting in place create that, then fine. But I think, I don't know. I think hopefully there will be, because I know they've started to like part of the recruiting process now. The clubs have to look to have a certain amount of ethnic coaches in their staff.
Okay.
There has to be that, and I've noticed that those coaches have been. There is if you ask for a change, that is a change. I would say there are now more. There are more black coaches now. There are more. There are more. So I would imagine that's still good, and you might see people start to come through and think that's a career path.
Yeah.
There is a career path there, because before there wasn't really someone I could look at and think like, I don't know, like Keith Curl. You say him? But Chris Hughton. Yeah, no, people say that. Oh, you like Chris Hughton? What? Because I'm mixed race. I don't. People say I look like Chris Hughton.
That's wild.
You know what I'm trying to say?
That is
people
lazy.
joke about what I say.
That's lazy. That's mad
Bitch,
lazy.
you know what I'm trying to say, but that's the reality.
Yeah. That's bruv, you get all those small
That's the reality.
microaggressions
And
at
I'll
work.
be honest with you. The guy's obviously mad qualified, and he's done well in the game. But his philosophy, I don't take that. Not in a bad way. He's establishing the game, his quality, but that's not me.
Yeah.
How his approach is not me.
Yeah.
At all. So it's like, yeah, it's an interesting one. Hopefully, in time, I think because people will be more visible and people are aware of it, I think it will happen. People will get in certain positions, like I think he'll mind me saying, but like for example, Chris Luck, he's a Charlton's under-21s coach. He's with the England's under-20s. I think he's now with the 17s, but yeah, he's a quality guy. I think he's been around the first team at Charlton as part of the staff, and he's fairly young, early 40s, isn't it?
We're the same year. I think I know him from back in the day. Yeah.
So yeah, I think things are changing, and it's just about like being, I suppose, like without even thinking about it, like that visibility and thinking that could be an option.
Yeah.
That could be an option. Even when I got into it, I didn't think like, oh, this where I'll be now on a podcast with you guys, discussing things, going to St George's Park, speaking to England captains, coaching Rio Ferdinand. I wouldn't all of this stuff. Like regularly, Arsenal meetings, speaking to Saka, all of these people that I've come across. I didn't think that when I started out. Do you know what I mean? But it is possible for people, if you enjoy football, you love it, and you you got a passion for the game, you can do it. Like whether it be an analyst, whether it be a coach, a physio, a journalist.
So many roles.
You can do it. You can do it. You 100% can. It's just that if you've got a passion for the game and then do it, there's opportunities there. Yeah. There's opportunities there now. It's not just closed.
That's and then just the last question
nah,
is... Who's your best player? That's it. Who's your best player? Who's the next upcoming star player that we should look out for? Yeah,
it's up to you whether you can mention the name or not,
listen, I'll have to tell you that off air because it would seem like I've got favourites. It seems like I've got favourites, but there is some good players. There's some good players that I've worked with. There's good players I've come across. There's good players that I've seen. So yeah. No,
we'll take that one off air.
Thank you very much, man.
No.
This conversation could have gone for a bit longer. If you want to come back, let me know. We get you back on.
No worries in future.
But yeah,
most definitely. Thank you. Appreciate that. But anyway, you're sticking around as we go through the games. So let's
go.
No. You got to stay for at least the first conversation.
I'm joking.
So as we move towards the weekend's fixtures, let's start with Spurs 1, Leicester 2. Look, last week I told these lot. I think Ange Postecoglou's on the last legs. They were telling me to the end of the season, etc. Did anyone manage to catch this game?
Yeah, I watched it.
Go on. Wow. Okay. Go on.
So it was just. It's funny because over the last kind of month, Tottenham have played Man United, played really well, played Liverpool in the League Cup, played really well. So
did they win those games?
Yeah, they did.
Oh yeah. Just checking.
They did. So I know everyone's kind of lobbying the whole injury crisis at Ange, but these players have put performances in against the better teams. But what seems to be happening is just that there's a lack of constant belief. So they're going into these games unsure about themselves. And granted, they went 1-0 up. Fair enough, 1-0 up at half time. But it's like
Charlton goal 33 minutes.
Yeah. But it's like they came out at half time and they thought the game was won. Maybe because they were playing Leicester, who've been struggling, haven't won in 7. But Leicester just hit them with a classic Jamie Vardy goal early on, and then El Kanous scored the second goal.
Good goal.
Yep, and then I thought Tottenham were going to go on and win it just based on how Leicester have been
you
playing.
said it in the group chat. You were like, Tottenham will still win. I said,
But Leicester were quite resilient, and Tottenham didn't really offer too much after going behind.
Adrian, go on, because I know you have a view on you feel like it's more the squad quality than it is Ange's coaching capability.
Because I think we've seen benefits of the coaching quality, right? So we see them getting lots of goals. I think they're like 5th highest scorers in the league or something. They've got quite maybe a bit higher. So they're able to score goals. It's about managing the game is the issue for me. But then I look at that's in-game management, that's players managing that, and I just don't think the quality's there. And that's my issue. So coming next season, even if they got rid of Ange, they're gonna have the same problems.
I don't know, man. Like they only had 2 players playing out of position today. I know you're saying it's squad quality, but we done the comparison of their squad against other squads in the league,
and for me, it was lower than all of them.
But better than Leicester.
I said that.
So his squad quality is lower than Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, he said their squad was lower than. He said it was like
Yes.
they had the 12th best squad in the
he
league. So
was-
he was going
he-
wild.
he
The
ru-
Spurs
rubbed
squad
their
on
squad out.
paper
The only
is
right
worse
now,
than Bournemouth's
the
on
only two
paper.
players that
Not
I would-
form, on
no,
paper.
No, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the only two players that I would, if say you could sign them, the only two players would be Bergvall and Archie Gray to play centre back.
Ash,
But we
Ash,
said
Ash,
squad.
help me out.
But we said squad.
Ash, help me out, please. please.
Because
He's
who
waffling.
else? I'm not waffling.
You are, man.
Who else is really good in that team?
Squad. We said squad.
Who else is really good?
Squad. Man for man.
going for the
They
squad
don't
then.
have that bad a squad.
Okay, okay, Baines.
I haven't
Because
backtracked on this.
Yeah, you done it against the West Ham, and we spoke about some of those players as well. I understand your wider point, but I think you understand that Tottenham have a top 10 squad. They do have a top 10 squad.
That team.
100%.
Yeah, top 10.
100%. So for them to be 15th is
I don't know.
Is-
It's
is-
top 10
it
no
should
more.
be.
Everyone's moved forward and grown and
no, but
developed.
we can look at that squad and know they've got a top 10 squad.
No. Previously, it was a top 10 squad.
It still is.
No. Previously, it was, and people's bought new managers, better systems. It's not a top 10
No,
squad
I don't
anymore.
agree with you.
All right.
Pins. They have lost 13 of their
Yes.
23 games this
So
season.
is that not a clear indication that it's not a top 10 squad?
No,
anymore?
but it doesn't. So I'll give you an example. Do you remember when Chelsea were really down and
Yeah.
they did really badly? Did that then make them less than a top 10 squad, or were they underperforming?
Thank you.
And I hear that. And I said, there's
Answer the
other
question,
people-
yes or no?
Last year,
Yeah, he always does this. Yeah.
No, we could do this.
Okay.
Does it make them say that again?
No, I
Yes
don't
or
need
no?
to. You don't know. You heard the question.
Yes.
So it made Chelsea less.
At the time, yes. And Chelsea's gone and recruited
That's why I said-
and improved.
No, but they didn't recruit that much.
Yeah,
because if you
when?
remember the year. So remember the year that Hazard was injured and they were really
no,
low
you
down
cannot-
and they came. No, let me
Yeah,
finish.
yeah, go
So
on.
they won the year, but they won the league before.
And then they finished.
And then they
lower.
dropped down because of poor
They
performance.
finished 12th,
and then they came back and won the league the next season.
Yeah, but you can have one season blip.
Okay.
And that's understandable. But I'm looking at just like Liverpool. Liverpool had that season drop off and
Yeah.
they've come back up this season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tottenham has just been going that way for the longest time.
They finished 5th last year.
But they,
No.
bad.
That's the point. You
Yeah,
can't
they
say that. They
finished
finished
fifth.
5th last season and now
But
they
it's
dropped
bad.
down this year.
I hear that, but for me, they shouldn't finish 5th. And now, for me, their squad. Their squad.
You can't change.
Honestly,
Honestly, my only
Honestly,
challenge
though.
with your view is you don't want to allocate as much weight to Ange as I think you should. That's my only challenge.
No, Ange does hold some responsibility, like we were saying
does a
before.
lot.
He does.
Yeah,
where he
the
might have to
majority
adapt.
of it for me.
He has to adapt aspects of the system and the setup.
Mm.
But I'm looking at the quality of the players that he's got to work with as well, and they're not that good.
Junior, what's your thoughts on?
It's been therapeutic just listening. It's true. I thought when I saw it, I thought, oh, bloody hell. But like you guys actually are talking and actually giving the like good, nice chilled information about it. So for me, like you got to look at they played in Europe. Was it Thursday?
Yeah.
And he's playing pretty much the same squad, pretty much the same starting 11, and minus Maddison, who he again lost. So for me, like, they're tired, and then on top of that, like, so for me, I don't know if you know anything about the situation in Scotland, but there's a quite a few fans are calling for leaving, saying about leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, yeah,
One
Joe
of
Lewis.
my friends is a lifelong Tottenham fan, and whenever he talks about any of this stuff, he doesn't care. He's saying it's the
Leave,
top. Yeah, it's from the top.
Look, we're in the 26th of January, I think today.
Yeah.
The brothers signed Kinski. No outfield players.
Yeah.
You've got an injury crisis. So you said about the squad not being that good and to be the debate about being in the top 10 squad. Mickey van der Ven is not just as a top, but he's top.
Yeah,
Mickey van der
good
Ven's
player.
quality. Romero's. He has his moments, but he's won the World Cup. I'm not saying there's some question marks still about him for me.
Temperament. I think as a defender, you can argue, but it's just his temperament. You
He's
can let
won
your
the
team
world.
down.
He's
Yeah,
won
yeah.
the World Cup. Like, so let's just say he's a top 10 defender.
Yeah.
If that's to your
And
point,
your
yeah.
left back, Udogi.
Udogi, Italian international, good player. Solanke's now injured.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Bentancur was injured for a bit.
Bentancur was
Vince
out for
doesn't
a
rate him.
period of time. I know you don't rate him. You might not rate him. Who's the winger that they signed? Wilson,
Odegaard.
Odegaard. He's been out for the
Yeah.
thing. And
Johnson.
Johnson's out. So these are all
Johnson's
for,
out as well?
Johnson's
Yeah,
out
bro.
as well.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of others I'm forgetting. But I do feel that Postecoglou, and he may or may not hear this Monday, he might hear this, but like I do feel that his methods, and I was reading an article on this, are partly to blame for the injuries. Like, and then the lack of, for that, that type of play, it's high energy, a lot of sprints.
yeah.
There's a lot of muscle injuries. There's a lot of muscle injuries that he's got there. And then on top of that, Levy's not backed him when we've got no players.
Yeah.
No, we're not
So
no
that
players.
load isn't being shared like
Yeah,
it would
it's not
do.
being shared, so there's no rotation. Like Maddison today was out of fear of fatigue. He couldn't play. So that's why. So they played on Thursday. They were dreadful in the second half, but got a result, 3-2. And then they've come into it with the same squad again, and they've dropped off in the second half. So I think fatigue. They're not. Listen, they're not robots.
Yeah, Maddison wasn't even in the squad.
No, he wasn't.
But he,
Fatigue.
but he hasn't been playing that many of the league games anyway.
Madison.
So, like, for instance, he was on the bench against Arsenal. I know there's been Kulusevski has been like the preferred person in a central kind of position as well. I think, and just to kind of like build on your point, I think there's a real cocktail of the injuries are part of it, 100%. I think the mismanagement of Ange is another part of it as well. And an example of that was you bring Romero and Van der Ven back from muscle injuries to play against Chelsea when they've not been fit. Remember, just a couple of weeks ago, you went to City and beat them 4-0 with Dragusin and Ben Davis. Sorry, not Dragusin. Dragusin. Dragusin and Ben Davis. So why would you not at least say, I'm going to play one of my centre-backs and play the one who's been playing? Like, and there's so many things, and even at the in-game management, like, we don't ever know what that midfield is going to look like. There's so many things that have kind of changed and shifted. But then I also look at them, they're the third highest scorers in the league. They've scored 46 goals, but you've conceded 37. Like, it's to me...
It sums the philosophy up in a nutshell. Like, they'll go forward, attack. What about the defence?
Yeah.
Game state dictates sometimes you don't need to... You need to sometimes just protect what you got. You don't need to be doing on them sprints. About the space you defend, go into a mid-block for a period of time, go into a low block and defend. I think like Carragher said, I agree with Danny Carragher when he said, I don't know if you saw Reed speaking about it, like the state of the game changes. So why would you play the same way? If I'm winning 1-0, why am I committing all my bodies there to or playing around at the back, and then if they win it, they score?
And
I think
for me, that's in-game management. So when we talk, that's in-game management. Actually, guys, this is what we're gonna do now. And I know it's on the players, except you're saying it's on the players, but for me, that's in-game management. Listen, guys, the press is going to be now triggered by something different. So you're starting from a deeper place, you're talking about the blocks, etc. I've got it can be taken as a bit of a disrespectful view on the whole Ange thing. I think you know what I'm going to say.
Good.
I think they're getting what they paid for.
Fair. Because they always pick the cheap option.
Bro.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I wouldn't say that, because they did go Mourinho Conte, so they haven't gone for the cheap option.
No. So I'm not saying that they was going for cheap. I guess my point is, whether rightly or wrongly, but in football we find that there's no smoke without fire. So he wasn't their first choice, right? And I think, to be fair to Ange, he did well in Scotland, but if you look at his footballing career to date, he's not executed this philosophy at in a top tier league. He's not had to do it in a top tier league. With the physical demands, with those type of players, etc. So I actually think that he's on a bit of a learning curve as well, which might sound odd for someone who moves, walks and talks like how he does. I think he's in a bit of a learning curve. Then you've got the cocktail that Ash talked about. And he must just wake up on a Monday thinking,
So do you think he might benefit from his next job because of
100%?
Oh, 100%. But even when I talk about the cheap option...
If he has the capability
But
to
can I just go back to the cheap option piece? Because I think, they may have potentially got a Conte and got a Jose at times when they probably weren't at their peak as well. But then also, they've never backed them to the point that they should have backed them. So even now, like Solanke was just recently their highest signing.
55 million.
Like 55 million. Like, they've never really put the investment into the squad. And that's the reason why Poch left. Poch left because he said, here's where we're at. I brought it to here. I just need something to push us over the line to be
that summer after the Champions League final.
Yeah, but even before them, because the year when they finished third in the two-horse race, and then they went on and finished second another time later on. It was like, this is the stuff that I kind of need. And there was that 3 or 4 year window where it's like, back me. Just back me, and if it all goes wrong, then cool.
I would say this. I do like Postecoglou.
Yeah.
Because watching Mourinho's football and Conte's football, it was anti-football. Like, I didn't enjoy watching it. It was horrible to watch. I don't want to win a Carling Cup. Like, people can't understand why he was sacked.
Conte?
You don't know who was it?
Jose
Mourinho.
before the final.
Mourinho.
People can't understand it. Like, and I get that logic. You sat your manager before everything, but obviously watching it, it was absolutely. Like,
You would have
that
celebrated it,
expressions, that expressions was it like fossil football? People call it. It was really, really bad. I was Postecoglou last year when he had all his players. I think they won 10 games. They won the first 10 games, and they looked brilliant. Okay, they looked brilliant. You make the point about Levy not backing him, and it goes to the point of signing Timo Werner on a free transfer.
Hey, listen,
That was John's player.
That sends I've got a friend. He sends him crazy. My phone, I pick up my phone. It's like Levy. He does try and do things on the cheap, but you know about Pochettino not backing him at that period of time. They were moving in stadiums. So for me, while I've been quite. I've seen what Levy's done as a positive. He's delivered the stadium. He's delivered the training ground, which is one of the best in the world. He's done some really good things. You've got him in the Champions League for consecutive seasons, which only Villa has started to. But many clubs have not done. So he's pushed them to a certain point. But now, the disappointing thing for now is it's the 26th of you've had this month. It's as a manager, you're gonna you said you're gonna back him. You've not sacked him. Look, you obviously want to back him. You want to give him every opportunity, but you still don't want to put your hand in your pocket to pay that bit of extra. 26th of January. Postecoglou can't say that. Can't moan because he'll get sacked. You know, he can't. He's
learned from Conte.
You can't say he has to. Oh, they're working as hard as they can. He must be fuming. He's got no players.
Yeah, and I mean,
so it's a cocktail, as you said. There's quite a few things going on.
Cocktail's a good word, isn't it? Yeah,
so the cocktail is a good word. There's quite a few issues, but I do like him, and I wouldn't sack him because. What do you go from there? Like, so where do you go from? I wouldn't bother
on that. No, because I agree,
and I can't even think about it. Like now, I'm not going to talk anymore on it. I can't even think about it. That's my thing. I wouldn't sack him.
You know what? I almost think, and this may sound really crazy, I almost think there's an idea of saying, okay, you know what? All we can get from the season are the cups, and I think there could be a level of the mentality of the players, almost like the league. Is that? Yeah. Like as long as they don't. It sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy.
They're not going to get relegated.
No, just bear with me.
That's risky.
I'm with you. They're not going to get relegated.
Yeah, they'll get enough to 40. No, but hold on. I hear what you're saying because whenever I see their performances, even like I really looked at it in a derby. The derby, you'd think, okay, it's the one game they're going to really show up in, and they were so tepid in that derby. To the point where I was like, this doesn't even feel like a normal North London derby.
After going 1-0 up as well.
Yeah, it was just so. But then I see how they played against you in the League Cup. I see how they've played in some. I mean, Tamworth was a different thing. I just think they didn't take them seriously.
Yeah, only Madison took that game seriously.
Yeah, but I'm genuinely seeing because I think let's see what they do in that Villa game for the FA Cup. Let's see what they potentially do when they go to Anfield. I think they're going to get beat, but I'm seeing that they almost are dying on the idea of the cups can be the saviour of the season.
It's going to be very interesting.
I think they've written off the league personally.
They've never been this low in the league in years, so it's going to be super interesting to see it plays out. I want to see how it plays out. You know, usually you call for the manager to get sacked. Obviously, I support them. I'm just supporting. You can imagine the amount of like banter I've had to go through. I've come to the point that I don't even care. I don't want him to get sacked. I want to see how it plays out. I was when I looked at it, I wasn't even surprised. I had to have a nap because I've been so busy. I had a nap. I had a nap, and I could hear the radio going, and I thought to myself, I mean, look, they ain't coming back.
To put it in perspective, there's 7 points. Well, they're 7 points now. Even though Leicester won the game, they're 7 points away from Leicester 17th, right? So I don't think relegation battle is on the cards yet. But the only thing I would say, slightly in Daniel Levy's defense, look, I'm not a Spurs fan, so I don't have the only thing I would say is, you know, even as an Arsenal fan, you went through the years where the Emirates felt like that, having that stadium and what it meant financially and what you were able to do in the market was holding us back for a period of time. And almost, you know, in the last 5 or 6 years, you can see where we're able to go and make 100 million transfers, etc. So the only thing I would say is in Daniel Levy's defense is that stadium was over budget, over time. I think it ended up costing them $1 billion, 1.1 billion or something. I remember reading things about how they had to borrow that money, all that kind of. So you've got to think about all that stuff.
Right,
But to Ash's point, I do think, you know, you talk about Mourinho's fossil football and Conte's fossil football. Sometimes I look at that and I think Mourinho is a classic example of what, and Conte, I will work with what I've got. I'm sure if we sat Mourinho here today, he will say, well, what foot would you expect me to play with those players? I couldn't get the players I wanted to play that, you know, the football that you saw me playing
at Chelsea,
with
Inter.
With wingers running up and down and battling up teams. I didn't have the money to do it. Conte would probably say the same. But if I'm Daniel Levy, what do you know what to do? Do you want the stadium or do you want the players?
No.
And then, once again, and then to add to your point about forget the cups, if I'm Daniel Levy, do you know how much extra money I get for every extra place in the Premier League? You ain't writing off no league. Get up the table. The difference between 15 and 7 to 8, just in prize money alone. And he's probably counting every penny. Yeah. It makes a difference. You got
Yeah,
the
it
league.
does, definitely does.
Yeah.
But I just think when I look at them, they just seem like it's so terrible to be 23 games in. You've lost 13 games.
And it's the home games and who they're losing at home to as well.
Yeah.
It just,
And if I'm Daniel
It's
Levy,
bad.
what's the thing I can affect the easiest that can have the most impact?
Manager.
The manager.
Yeah,
Am I going to wait until June to find out if I'm right? I'm not gambling that.
But you know the
I'm
scary
not
thing
gambling
is-
30, 40 million quid when I can pay him 5 million quid
So
to get
what
out.
do you think will happen then? What do you think?
I think if
think
you
he's
don't
gone.
get a positive result against Everton,
I
he's
think
out.
gone.
yeah.
He's out, yeah.
When we got,
I think
we got Brentford next. I think, innit?
Yeah, you got.
I think you got Everton soon.
No,
No,
Everton beat them last week.
We lost
Everton beat them
Everton.
3-2.
We lost- we already lost to
Everton beat them
3-2.
3-2
Sorry,
last week.
yeah, I think he's got.
They got Brentford, and then they've got the League Cup game.
I
and
think
then
there's
they've
one
got-
more home loss, bro. You put yourself in Daniel Levy's shoes. I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you can do it. And as you said, there's a board. It's not just him. The way his phone's gonna be ringing tomorrow.
Yeah. What we doing there?
Like, so sometimes I do get it with owners where people be like, oh, bro, that it's a bit like I say with Arteta. There's plenty of other clubs. I don't think that manager has a job today if they've lost 13 games out of the 23.
Yeah, because they
13
like
is
him, though. That's what I'm trying to say. They
Yeah,
like him.
yeah. But
They like him.
you
They
gotta take the
obviously like
emotion
him
out of
because
it.
anyone else, that is a sackable offence.
Yeah,
To
I
be
don't
losing
think
at home
he's-
to Ipswich and Leicester. Like, it's a sackable.
When you put it like that,
No,
yeah.
it's sackable.
Yeah,
But obviously, they don't want to. They're trying to give him every chance. And I
Maybe
think
that's
the
Levy
injuries,
doing things on the cheap
the
again.
injuries are
I
a real
think
thing.
it might
Yeah,
be.
it plays a part.
It might be
Maybe
sacking,
Levy doing
maybe
things-
sacking
yeah,
him,
sacking him
having
is not
to
cheap.
pay for a new
Yeah,
manager.
you got to sack all
having
the
to do
coaching
that
staff.
stuff.
And I think-
Yeah,
And he's not troubling the board, is he? Like, Conte had a dig, Mourinho had a dig.
he's kind of
Like,
absorbing it.
yeah, he's just
kind
like,
of absorbing
definitely
it.
he's been the buffer.
This is his
And-
biggest job ever. Of course, it's absorbing it.
But
Yeah, and I
also
think that's working to their detriment.
the other big issue, even though the injuries, is the midfield combination. Is just something's not right.
Bruv,
Hey.
get away from the
Something-
players, bruv. They're
something's
good.
not
They
right.
should be
You see
doing
that
better.
You see that Pap Star guy.
No, something's not right with the midfield.
You see, if
He's
I
always
was his
changing
teammate,
it. As
I'll
she said.
beat him up every day. Bro, you
But we-
cannot
but-
watch a Tottenham game without that guy getting booked for something
No, I
foolish.
get that, but we've seen them perform last season.
Yeah.
Last season,
No, we've
Yeah.
seen
it
them do
was-
it this season.
No,
yeah, they
They've
performed
done
this
this
season.
season. They went to City at one point.
Yeah,
now.
bro.
yeah. So
It's
we,
like,
but
you've seen them
like,
do it.
I think we've got to move away. Like, I think at the start you could say, right, injuries, blah blah blah. I think we've got to move away from that now. And like you say, the cocktail, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a manager who
Finally.
I predicted. You know, I did say let's give him a chance. The rationale behind him was correct. These lot wanted to kill me and say da. Bournemouth 5.
Oh, you
Not
back
in the
too
first.
early, yeah?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so I
No,
didn't
no.
know about him. I backed the decision, the
Okay,
rationale.
glad you said that.
Because my thing,
Yeah, you
but,
did.
no, I was trying it still.
Yeah.
No, but my thing is, these don't know me. I think about things slightly differently. And in football management at top level, there's no medium. You're either doing well, so you should just keep your job forever, right? Or you're doing really badly, and then we're gonna fire you. When actually, in any other business, people will look at indicators and be like, if we let him carry on, he's gonna lose 13 games. So let's nip it in the bud now and correct it. But in football, we just let you keep going. You have this kind of credit in the bank rubbish. And the whole thing was, it was harsh on Gary O'Neill, da. And I said, well, if you look at it through the normal football lens, yeah, but you did your job. You got us away from relegation. But you don't have enough of a history to say you're the guy that's going to take us to where we want to get to. I don't want to be back here again. You did a good job getting us away from it, but I don't know if you can get us where you can get to. Someone else who's got more of a job history, there's more data. I'm picking between two of you. He's available now. I'm going for this guy. No slight on you, mate. Thank you. Did well. But I think this guy can do better. And I want to be where these lot are now. Right? And everyone's like, it's not fair. And I was like, you're not comparing apples with apples. Saving me from relegation for 6 months, I'm that battling spirit, that's fine. When my analysts are bringing me the videos of how this guy's team plays and set up, etc., I'm seeing two different things. So I'm gonna buy that now. Cheers. Later.
I think you touched on a point about availability because I think you have to sometimes look in the sense of this person's here now. If I don't grab him now, will I ever get this opportunity again? So, but I think what it's always down to is how you do stuff.
Yeah.
It felt like that was a real dig in the ribs to
No,
Gary
what they
O'Neill.
did it.
It
They
was a
did
bit
it
of a
before the
sacrifice.
season started.
No, I hear you, but I just feel like he's kept them up. You think, oh yeah,
Feels credit in the bank.
he's earned the right to say
No,
that.
see, I don't-
I agree. No, I agree
Yeah,
with you,
yeah,
and
but
especially
in
how it's
football, that's
now
how we
played.
think, yeah.
But now how it's played out, it looks like that. But I think people were more upset by how it was done to Gary O'Neill.
What
But then
would've
what I would
been-
say as well is when you then see what they've done across the last 18 months, people aren't
players
saying that
have-
anymore.
No, I agree.
Yeah, people are.
But even if it didn't go right, I would have still have said, I understand
Yeah.
what you were trying to do, Mr. Owner. Do you know what I
And
mean?
what's funny, you mentioned Keith Curl earlier. No, Houghton. Chris Houghton earlier.
Chris Hughton, yeah.
Yeah, same thing happened at Brighton. When he got sacked, everyone was like, why have you done that? And it's the same, they don't operate on exactly the same model, but you can see Brighton done that early,
Looked at data.
and they've moved up to where, because it was Potter that came in after Chris Houghton?
I think
Brighton?
so.
I think
Yeah.
it was.
I
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. So, and Brighton were doing okay
Yeah.
under Chris. So
And bro, we've got
it's the same.
every stat, analysis, everything under the sun.
Available.
I bet you any money, these guys did a little bit of a post-mortem and went back. They could probably be like, there.
Do you think
That's where we should have. But AI is going to start telling people soon. Seriously,
Yeah,
they're going to
it
say,
is.
look, based on however many thousands of games, and that's how he builds it.
This could be his big
You might want
percentage.
to look at this guy's contract.
Yeah.
You
Do
might
you
want to
think
terminate his employment.
do you think
I'm
they're
telling
ahead of their curve?
Yeah, I think this is ahead of plan. Things are going well. I mean, that 5-0 beating against Forest have been playing really well. And I think after 23 games, if you are where you are in the league, you're good for it. There's none of this. There's no form or whatever.
Yeah.
You've played almost 3/4 of the season. You're good for it. So to go and beat the team that's in the top 4, 5-0,
And beat the team fighting for the top 4.
4-0, was it
4-1?
4-0 or 4-1?
4-1.
This is in luck. Players that,
Beating Arsenal, you've beaten City, you've beaten Tottenham, you've beaten a lot of teams.
right?
They've beaten a lot of teams.
And what I like about teams like Bournemouth is you see how they play, right? He's got a very specific style of playing. And then players that seem to be a little bit on the fringes, weren't doing what they needed to do, they're now performing for him. Cliver now performing for him. Semenyo had his piece. Yeah, you got Ouattara, and obviously you got to look at Nottingham Forest's performance here. But the way Bournemouth attack teams, they don't give them space to play. When you watch them against Newcastle defense midfield, they didn't have time to think.
Yeah.
They move like bees. It's absolutely crazy. So what he's done there, and I do find it interesting because when I watch the game just with my eyes, it looks like it's really hard to play for Iriola, bruv. Like you put in a real mileage, but I don't have the same injuries as other managers.
But they do. So if you look
Ah,
at
do
Bournemouth,
they?
Yeah.
Bournemouth
Their injury-
against
it's the same
Newcastle,
thing, yeah?
they only had 12 fit first team players.
So maybe
So
it's-
again, we're now looking at that, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes it depends on who's out, right? So if,
Yeah.
but then for instance, Senesi was their best centre back last season. Everyone was raving about him. This Houston guy's come in and been amazing. Zabrani's still doing well. A lot of people talk about Kirkis. Should he get a move? Atara has just said, "Yo, we don't need a striker." Evan Nelson had a bit of a shaky start. Then kind
Now
of got
he's-
better.
yeah,
Now
he's
he's out
injured,
as
yeah.
well. They've moved players like Billin on, like Tabiyed sometimes gets a game. Like they've got so many different like options. And he's like, oh, I can do this. I can pop this person in for this game. I can do this. David Brooks has come back, which I think is a great story considering like what he went through as well.
Yeah.
But then
But it's
we-
interesting
I
what
still
you
haven't
say
even
because
said
there's
Semenyo.
6 guys on here
Yeah.
who are from the youth team on the bench. They haven't even got pictures for them.
Yeah.
They haven't even got pictures. Look, bare large numbers: 51, 44, 43. So yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when you watch Bournemouth play, that looks long. I'm not gonna lie. I love ball, but that looks long. It looks like the kind of manager
Interchanging.
when you're with your brethren in May. Oh, go back to prison. Everyone's looking at the ball player like, whew, peak for you.
You understand
I'm
why
not
then.
surprised at the win. I'm just surprised at the manner.
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
the
I
win.
agree. Yeah.
Like 5-0, I was like,
Yeah, I thought it was going to be tight.
yeah,
Well, I think their next game is it Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at home. Yeah.
So that will be very
That's the
interesting.
test. Yeah.
But this is
That's
the
I
the
respect
test.
them. I respect them.
That's
Well,
the
this is what I was saying
acid
to Ash earlier. I was saying, statistically, at some point, they've won. They haven't lost in 9 or 10 games. They've won however many in a row. You're due something, whether it's a
slump.
draw or a loss.
Yeah.
You're going to play the best team in the league. You don't have to be you don't have to be a statistician to say that's probably where you're going to have your. As an Arsenal fan, please go there and keep the momentum going. But when you come up against that slot team, it's going to be P. I'm looking at draw Liverpool win next week, personally.
I don't know. I think it's weird how it's set up is Because even when they had like the Nottingham Forest game for Liverpool,
Yeah.
a lot of their fans were saying like, this is the real test. Like this stretch is the real test for us. Going away to Forest, they always still spoke about the United game, saying that the history of that makes it a difficult game.
Bournemouth are home to Liverpool. by the way.
Yeah. The Ipswich game, everyone was like, yeah, it's fine. But then there was this game that came up after it, and I think also this game is the same weekend that Arsenal play City, so there's a lot that's kind of attached.
in that weekend.
Yeah, that's attached to this one game, right? You go. I think you've made numerous statements already. You go there, you beat a team who just beat two teams who have given Liverpool a hard time this season, like 5-0. Remember, Newcastle gave you probably your hardest game.
Yeah, we should have won it though.
Yeah. And then Nottingham Forest, you should probably beat them too, but like they've both taken points off of you. Bournemouth have just slapped that team. So it's a big game. But I'm with you. I don't see Liverpool losing that game. So I think they'll come up with some kind of solution to kind of like manage it, or they'll kind of suffocate the key things that
You know what's so
happen there
annoying
as
about
well.
them? It's
Yeah.
not when you look at Liverpool now. I don't even losing the game doesn't even enter my like calculation of the game. Is are they gonna win, or are they gonna fall to a draw? Not even like because the way to your point and the way Slot tinkers games, you just see him. I can tell when he's making subs now. He just gets up. He looks. No. Hey, come. He's game management, and a couple of games he hasn't done it is when we've discussed you've drawn a game maybe you should have won, etc.
Yeah.
So
I think the point about Liverpool is when you look at their squad, it's a strong squad. Obviously, Klopp's built it, and it's a strong squad. I don't know if they added in the summer. Did you guys add in the summer?
just
that's
Chiesa.
Chiesa.
Chiesa
was the only
and
one.
Mamadashvili, but he's still
Yeah, so-
loan to Valencia.
Yeah, so they haven't really added, but that squad has been together for a while. It's a strong, robust squad. And then people were saying this like he's a bit more boring, like his style's a bit more slow. It's about control. For me, it's the word control because I know some Liverpool fans might say, "Oh, it's a bit boring." I know a couple of Liverpool fans, but like that romance with Klopp.
Yeah,
So
rock and
that-
roll
that-
football.
and a high octane football. Yeah.
But look, they haven't had any. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't had any real like Salah's played most games. They haven't been hit with the injuries.
Yeah.
The style of football is not like rock and roll, like that's like up and down like positive. They haven't had as many injuries, and they've got a strong squad.
And then
So they're
people
like
have upped their game. Gavin
yeah.
Birch has upped his game.
And they all feel probably like they're part of it as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you touched on Bournemouth having a few injuries, but and I don't want to bring it back to Postecoglou, but when you mentioned about Bournemouth, like they're not. I don't think they're Bournemouth aren't in Europe, so it's like the fatigue of they're playing in Europe, so they've got the injuries, and then them same players are tired.
Yeah, they're playing.
The
They're
travel.
tired, so they're human, so they're
That's fair,
tired
that's
as well.
fair. I didn't thought
so,
about that,
so
yeah.
listen, so I don't want to get the tissues
No,
out
it's-
about
it's-
Tottenham again, but I'm just saying that fatigue is a
Makes a
thing of
difference.
that extra game on a Thursday,
And
and
we've-
you haven't got a strong
Because to be
squad.
fair-
And we've talked about Europa League.
For Aston Villa.
Yeah, well, we talked about Europa League affecting teams. People say, "Oh, Champions League teams," and then I'm like, it's different because there's a smaller little catchment area for Champions League. Some of these extremities you're traveling to for Europa League is mad. And Tottenham are not the first team we've seen where Europa League has a real big effect.
Yeah.
And
on
the
the league
styles,
thing.
it's the both, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the Europa League, that he was talking about the squad not being strong enough, then they've got there and they haven't really added, and then they've been decimated by injuries, and then it's his up and down style, which he doesn't want to compromise on. Right where you can respect that or not respect that, you can like it or not like it, but obviously he said it is a results business.
this is
why did I delve back onto Tottenham?
No, because you talk about Bournemouth and the injuries and the difference and how the injuries affected them.
Yeah,
so they haven't got Europe. So maybe those lists of injuries.
get a little
and they
rest
can
and-
and they can work on the training ground at good
And
intensity
tactical, yeah.
and recover. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, but I love what Bournemouth are doing. That Cliver, as you said, he looks that goal yesterday. I don't know what they're defending, but I don't know why they dropped so deep. Forest. But I don't think anybody saw that result coming.
But
5-0.
like you said, Clive, I was like, remember his visa got rejected when he first applied to come to England because Fulham was supposed to sign Clive,
Yeah, I remember that.
and his visa got rejected because they didn't feel he was a good enough talent to be warranted a visa to kind of oust academy
Some
player.
guy in the Home Office is deciding that.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Bournemouth are 1 point away from Europe, so they're battling for that fifth spot. Yeah,
Yeah, 1 point off fourth.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in there.
And to be fair, we most probably will get the fifth year Champions League spot.
Place, yeah.
And then if those top teams win the cups, like the top 8 or 9 teams in the league could get Europe this year. So
Well,
Yeah,
and
so
it's
it's
interesting you
interesting.
talked about the players backing off here. Again, as a fan, I always find it. I find it in a weird way good, but I find it infuriating when players at that level make the same mistakes. and they do the same things that you would do at amateur level. I'm shouting at TV. Why are you backing off? Why are you backing off? Boom.
Yeah. I think it's a mentality
Saturday
of-
is Belgium.
Aina run. If you saw what Aina did, Aina kind of was near him, ran past him to his position, and didn't think, "Oh, let me try and put pressure on him."
yeah.
Like I watched it. No, I looked at it. I was like, "You've just
Robot
basically
thing.
sprinted back to your position."
Yeah, robot.
Rather than actually dealing with the game
It
state
looked like
as
a
it
glitch
is.
or
So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looked so. He looked like FIFA.
You know what it was like?
Like-
It was almost like he remembered that in that situation, I'm supposed to
be
be here. So that's the first thing I'm doing.
So when we go back to video and analysing, I was here.
I was there, bro. I was
bro.
there. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, Bournemouth march on. Bit of a shock for Forest. I did say last week, again, I'm not saying that this is a telltale sign of anything, but again, I think when I did the top 4 predictions, I didn't have Forest in there. I didn't think they could sustain it. And I'm actually hoping, I do want someone to make it in the top 4 that isn't supposed to. I just don't see how. They're overperforming, right? They've got a good team. He's shown himself to be a good manager, right? His track record shows that. But this is overperformance. And if they overperform for a whole season, fantastic. I just think another 15, 16 games of this, nah, I don't see it. So hopefully this isn't a spiral. But we'll see. Liverpool 4, Ipswich 1. I mean,
I was there yesterday.
yeah, we know.
And I
we
just
know.
want to say it was a pleasure watching Gravenberch in the flesh.
Yeah?
What was good about him?
Just everything. Like, we were clamouring for a number 6,
Yeah.
and everyone like, we have to buy. And granted, Dumendy fell through, and Slot kind of got this jigsaw piece, and like, let's see if it works. He can tackle, he can pass, he can retain the ball. He's everything you'd want in a 6.
Big as well, isn't he?
Is he a player of the year?
Oh,
Liverpool player of the
yeah,
year.
by miles. Like, I know Salah's hitting like crazy numbers, but like the impact that he's had in the midfield is like second.
And it was only last season where, because he was still settling in, Klopp had to play McAllister as a 6. That was last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
bought Endo as well.
Yeah.
That's
He's
how much
playing
they felt like Gravenberch hadn't really
And I think
assimilated.
people kind of forget how, like, he's only 22, so I think like
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to give him grace for his age as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Gravenberch's
So
22.
he broke
Now,
through
let me
Ajax.
fact check that. Keith
Yeah,
says stuff
please.
sometimes.
He broke through Ajax really young.
Yeah.
Got the
Bayern.
move to Bayern. Didn't work out. We signed him. So
The system didn't really work for him, and he
Yeah.
hadn't
Yeah,
settled yet.
I think
Yeah,
he was.
he's 22.
Like,
Yeah.
the
23
profile,
in May.
the profile piece is also really important because he can play as an 8. I can see why they would put him as an 8. I can even see potentially why they maybe even put him as a 10 because when he's on the ball, like some of his turns, like he done that crazy. What game against United? That double touch turn. I was like, it was cooking.
He moves like he's top 26.
Yeah.
His presence. He moves like a
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But,
100%.
like,
Rodri type.
Yeah,
He's
but
got
even with
presence,
but what I'm saying is with
Yeah.
that profile, you can almost play him as any position of this of in that midfield 3, right?
Yeah.
So as a result, it's like, okay, where do I want to almost say this is where you are? So being a jack of all trades meant that last year he played all of 3 of those positions, and it's tough. We talk about other players who 1 minute I'm right wing, then I'm up front, and I'm there. It's tough for them. But when he said this is now going to be your role, this is where you're going to be disciplined in, you've really seen him kind of like grow, and I think he is your best player because I think that was the biggest issue that you had going into the season.
Yeah.
Mo was going to score, Trent will set them up, Virgil will stop them.
Yeah.
But no,
Facts.
seriously.
Yeah,
but
facts.
what
Who's
you
gonna-
never knew was
pace.
who's now going to look
gonna
after
protect Virgil?
this brand new midfield that's been constructed. And I think when I look at the performance of Sobosai, which has been up and down, Curtis Jones had some good moments, but in certain games he's not there. I think McAllister is neat and tidy, but sometimes he doesn't really affect the game as much. You needed someone to really step up and say, I'm going to make this midfield mine. And he's done that to the point where he's probably been the most important part of your season.
Well,
Yeah.
Another thing is as well. He's Dutch, isn't he?
yeah. So they got to
So there's
understand
a connection
Yeah.
between them.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
You know
And
what
that
I'm
can
saying?
help
So,
that
like,
connection.
You know, to like player and coach connection.
Yeah.
Like
Makes a difference.
he obviously understands. He's from Holland, so he understands the way he wants to play. They probably see him
And
as
the
their
way-
manager. He feels valued.
Yeah. And he probably knows of him in the system as well. Slot can reference that. He probably knows him from the Dutch system, heard about him coming through, etc., etc.
But yeah, it was
Cody
pretty-
Gakpo
yeah,
as well.
It's pretty straightforward yesterday. Like from kickoff, Trent was pretty much in the front 3. Like he wasn't staying at right back. Kind of slot set up to kind of nullify Ipswich. But yeah, you just mentioned Gakpo. Like he's been really good. and we kind of touched on it last week, but Diaz is kind of faltering because of how good Gakpo's playing now.
Yeah.
So I was surprised Nunes didn't start, considering kind of his rescue mission last week.
I'm not.
But I think if Diaz continues with the kind of up and down performances through the middle, Nunes might get some more.
I think you want Jota back. I think if Jota came back,
Oh yeah, so Jota's
he'll
the
be
preferred nine.
he'll be the main
Jota's
nine.
the
Yeah,
preferred nine, but
Yeah, he's
you
finished.
can't. Someone said
I think right now
he's
he's
sitting playing FIFA too long, so his muscles season up. That's why he has so
But I
many
thought
injuries.
Diaz, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Diaz have like 1 or 2 good games
Yeah, but
playing
that-
centrally?
No,
So he scored the hat trick against Leverkusen
In
playing
Europe.
centrally.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of.
system.
Was that-
I might.
Was that
I
more
don't wanna say
Leverkusen being
one-off.
rubbish or?
Yeah, I think it was just fortunate that everything
Oh,
kind of
okay.
fell for him in that
Okay,
game.
okay.
Because like even yesterday, like him and Gakpo swapped a little bit, and he went back out on the left, and he was
So
doing
many
the
good
jinky
players,
jinky.
though. So
But
many good players.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not much of a
Diaz,
criticism.
Gakpo,
But look at the subs he
Jota.
made. Look at the subs he
Even
made.
Chiesa.
He brought in Harvey Elliott, Nunes, Chiesa, Endo, and look, I'm not saying Endo's a well beater, but he's not
Endo's
rubbish.
tidy,
Yeah,
Endo's
effective.
tidy, man.
And then he was able to give Jaden Danza a run out as well. Like he's having fun. He left Connor Bradley, Simicas, and Quanso on the bench. So, and I think you're gonna strengthen in the summer as well, whereas you didn't spend any money last summer.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, annoyingly for us, and then Ipswich.
the most annoying thing is that they scored.
Yeah.
Pissed me off.
Yeah.
clean sheet.
Oh my
Fantasy
god.
clean sheet.
Yeah, I got both. I got 2 of them. Like when I went in, I was
refreshed
like,
the screen and my points went down. I said,
it was
Yo.
horrible. I just saw it come up, and I was like, oh gosh.
On a serious note, some of that though, I think your defense does. There's probably some bolt tightening to do
100%.
defensive wise for you guys.
Yeah. So previous to Brentford, we hadn't kept a clean sheet for a while. So I kept a clean sheet against Brentford. Kept a clean sheet. No, we didn't keep a clean sheet midweek.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, we didn't. So yeah, clean sheets have been a bit of an issue since say like December, because
Yeah.
up until then we were pretty
Yeah,
frugal
yeah.
giving away chances.
Since
Like
Since
when
the
City
comeback.
when
game,
Canate
since the
went,
City game.
yeah, when Canate got his injury, but Canate and Virgil look good. I think if one of those two got like a serious injury, we might struggle. If they can stay fit, I think we'll do it. My only concern is player burnout. So I thought kind of midweek, I thought Gravenberch could have been rested. I thought Mo could have been rested. Yeah,
No,
let's see what he does midweek. Like he might want to finish first in the CL. We'll touch on this.
Yeah.
But
So I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's move on. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. I guess the big talking point from this game was the controversial red card for Miles Lewis-Skelly. Thoughts on this one?
Never read. I don't even know why we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's
like
silly.
it should never have got this far.
When you was watching Match of the Day,
They've
the commentator was like,
they've upheld it though.
I knew they were going to
Already?
They got
They've
back
upheld
in.
it,
They got-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Howard
they've
Webb came out
upheld
and upheld it. But when I saw it, I was like, oh.
I'm not gonna lie.
Gomez one was more of a red. Do you think it was a red?
I saw the replay and I thought, right, you foul me like that, I would have read. I initially thought, no, initially I did because his studs are up and that, and I thought, when this up, if he wasn't in the Arsenal shirt, I might say it's not a red. So
No,
They said it was high. It wasn't high.
I know. I guess what I'm saying is, I think it's a yellow. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna act like I saw it and then immediately I was. I
No, I thought it was
I
a
did
yellow.
look at it, and it was Mark Oliver, and I thought, okay. But after I calmed down, I said, all right. I can see why a man gave a red. Yeah, but I think it's a yellow. I agree it's a yellow.
But
But I don't
it's a
think it's
yellow.
pink as
Yeah,
everyone's
it's not
making
red.
out. Yeah,
It's a yellow.
I don't think it's everyone's pink.
It was a yellow straight away. Like,
What do you think?
I'd probably lean to. I only because otherwise come on and I thought because people were talking about it.
Yeah.
I know a couple of us were Cintiq holders, so I thought let me see what the hullabaloo's about. So I look at it, and it's not a red. It's not a red, but it
So
is
you
harsh.
withdrawn?
It's a yellow. But I can see what he's saying. It's not like that is what the hell.
Because the
that's
first time I saw him, like,
crazy.
what are you
Like,
doing?
yeah,
That's a yellow. Then I watched a few replays. I said,
But it wasn't a rake.
It wasn't
like,
a
you
rake.
see,
It wasn't
you
a
see,
rake,
yeah,
but
you
it
see
wasn't
like
a rake,
studs
it's
where they rake. It's like it was studs, but like just on his
Thing
on
is,
his
I
that's what I'm
ankle.
saying though. Like when I saw it, and
Nah,
I did like
yeah.
this.
He went to
but
flick,
you
he
know
went
how
to
I
chip
look.
him.
You know how I look at it. I look at it in the sense of okay, we've had that if you deem that to be a red.
Yeah.
We're going to
As
see that next week.
hold
if we
on,
don't
hold
get
on,
it.
hold on. You deem that as to be a red as a referee. How did the referee then not give
Gomez
the
a
second
red.
one a red? Because that's an even more intentional tackle of
And he
putting
gave him a
weight
second yellow.
into. Yeah, he gave him a second
you know
yellow.
what I think
So
play-
so that's what kills me about the inconsistency.
Yeah.
Because if you then give that as a red and you give Gomez as a red, then basically you're saying any dangerous tackle I'm going to send off. But it doesn't matter if he's got a yellow already, because
Yeah, 'cause you
if
can
it's
get
a
a red.
straight, that should be a straight red. So the moment you give that as a yellow, that to me almost compounds the mistake even more.
Yeah.
If it's a yellow or red, cool.
But that's my call. That's
now
that referee for
that's
you, though.
now the watermark.
Yeah.
So what you've done is in the same game you've gone below your watermark to give someone a yellow, which is more of a red.
Yeah.
But yet you're still going to give like Miles
And
Lewis
Bar
Skelly a
didn't
red.
step in either.
Yeah.
I think as well though he like with the context. I didn't see the second one that you're
Yeah.
referring to, but I think they was on the break and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
like it was a professional foul.
Yeah.
and he caught him like
On top of the foot.
his studs might have touched him. It wasn't vicious.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But he was maybe with the intent of like he was stopping a counter attack. That's at least a yellow. Then he's added the extra bit on for the contact.
Yeah.
or something.
What,
I
what,
don't know.
what the seasoning?
That's all I can think.
That's what it was.
That's all I can think.
Yeah,
It's just the
yeah.
touch of the studs on him.
Crazy.
People that was cynical. That was naughty, a bit cynical, and then he's touched him.
So
That's the
that-
only thing I can think because it wasn't a red. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But at that point, I'm thinking, again.
Worried. He was a bit worried.
No, there's
Yeah.
something else to
Well,
talk about.
because
in that
it's
game
another,
still.
it's another red card. We've
Yeah.
had a few this season. We must be looking at some kind of club. We're going to get
Imagine
let from the
Wenger,
FA
innit?
soon or something.
No,
you
remember
know?
back in the day when like Wenger
Wenger used to get them all the
regular
time,
red.
yeah.
Like Vieira got back-to-back reds.
No, but
and
we
that,
were getting
yeah.
like we were getting 4 a season them
No,
days.
There were certain times we got 12, 13 in the season. It was mad for us.
Right,
No,
fair.
we've got a history of that.
What else happened in that game?
Kai Havertz happened in that game. So no.
was coming to that.
No, what do you mean?
I
No,
don't
what do you mean?
agree with this.
What do you
No,
mean?
no, no.
What do you mean? You don't agree with this?
Leave King Kai alone.
What do you
No,
mean?
hold on.
Nah.
You see the chances he missed?
Hold on.
Nah.
Listen,
That
every time I come on here, I make a very clear plea of the striker I want, and I'm not going to do all of that again. But what I'm going to say is this: similar to your point, yes, the 26th of the month. We've known that Saka's out for potentially the rest of the season because he's had to have surgery on a hamstring. Gabriel Jesus is now out, like with his knee. He's done. We're still waiting to see what we're gonna do. And I think to me, again, I'm not gonna get on to Kai. He misses chances. All strikers do that, right? But what I am seeing is that I don't see where we have enough options beyond him, and we're having to rely on him. And even like when he isn't playing well, he can't even have the opportunity to
take
step
him off,
back
yeah.
or come off from the bench and maybe like do that as well. So as much as I'm going to reference him, but I'm referencing him in a bigger point of saying we are now lacking attacking options, and if things don't change, all that's going to happen is we're going to be in this position again, and we're not going to convert from a centre back scoring, which I think we've got the highest record of defenders scoring in a season so far. We need more. We need reinforcements, and we're going to be here, and we're going to be super frustrated again in March. Saying, yo, like, why have we had 37 shots and only had 2 on target?
Yeah, no, agreed. And then Calafiori, he doesn't know how to score normal goals.
He's a
That guy.
passion
It's a
merchant.
good
Yeah,
finish.
Well,
yeah, it's a
that
good
guy-
finish. Yeah, it's a good finish.
Yeah,
I just saw a smile break out on all three of your faces.
You know what?
Like this.
You
I didn't
know
see
what?
the goal, but all three of them.
I'm not even a big fan of him. I'm not even
Aren't
like.
you?
I'm
No,
not
I like
like
him, man.
I'm, no. In a sense of like people are like, oh, okay, I'm like, he's okay.
No, he's good.
I'm not gonna do anything like
Do
that.
you know what I like
but-
about him?
Yeah.
He
Just
gives me like
aggressive.
old school Italian defender vibes.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day where if that defender let you get a crossing, he's upset.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of old school. He gives me that kind of vibes. He's built in that way. And I think he mostly makes good decisions with the ball. I
Yeah.
think off the ball, yeah, okay, he's still got a few things to
This
do
is,
better.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not enamored with him to the point of like, oh yeah, that's my left back. I'm not in that position. I do like him. I do appreciate him. But like, he's come up with 2 big moments, big finishes, and
You know what's funny about his goal? Havertz was trying to tap it in, and he was offside. You know? If you had got that in, I would have been fuming.
Remember he done that at Chelsea away? Do you remember like him and Trossard and all that? Yeah. So,
Fuming. But fair play. If we had drawn another game, I would have been complaining, etc. They got the win, got through. Got
Yeah. No, just finish off. I would say
Yeah.
mine and Keith's players stepped up as well. Like you can see him taking it to them. Rice
yeah.
again. Like one point he ran through 3 of them and had a shot. I was like, okay, Rice, you really want this?
Yeah, there was a bit to the end where he picked up the ball just outside the centre circle in Arsenal's half. And there was really anyone to pass through. So it was like, and then he pushed forward. And I was thinking, where are you going? He ran past 1 player, 2 players, 3 players. And then, defender kind of saw it and cut it off. But even the fact that at that point in the game, he just said, right, I'm going to go as far as I can with the ball to ease the pressure off. He's definitely taking a different view to his midfield responsibility when he's got the ball. It's not just an enforcer thing. It's not just, I get the ball when I give it to Odegaard.
Yeah.
It's, I'm also going to take responsibility for progress. I think I said it before, for progressing the ball, but not just with passing. He actually he's trying to do the whole driving, marauding
I
thing,
think-
which is good most of the time. Sometimes,
I think he was tired at the start of the season. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
And I've referenced this point beforehand in terms of the amount of time he was off. He didn't get much of a rest. Even across the Christmas period, he actually was on the bench for a few games.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't starting. And I think and I remember we came back last year from Dubai, his season really kicked on after it. I think he needed a bit of a breather. And I think we should hopefully be able to see more of Rice. We got a couple of weeks off because we didn't progress in the FA Cup and stuff like that. I think we're going to start to see Rice kind of like really kick on a bit more for those.
There's one
Who
more
was
player.
captain yesterday? Sorry.
Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
But to be fair, he's turned up in big moments for us throughout
Yeah,
the
yeah,
season.
no,
Oh, he's a
I'm
leader.
not mad
He's a
at
clear
that.
leader.
He's
Yeah,
that,
yeah, he's a clear leader.
Someone was saying that, I can't remember what either ex-player or a coach or a current player was saying, people underestimate how much Gabriel is complimenting Saliba. And actually Saliba, even though it was like oozing over Saliba, a lot of it's off of the back of what Gabriel does.
I think Gabriel's our best centre back.
Yeah,
I agree.
he's the better defender.
yeah, I think
But one other player I wanted to give a quick mention to is Martinelli. He
For-
hasn't been great, but he's having impact on the game.
moving on to the next
No,
game.
don't
You know,
know.
you talking. No, you know what's funny? You know what's thought about Martinelli because you know you're talking about players coaching them to put their head up. I was gonna say to have a word with him.
Down all the time, yeah?
Yeah,
One-to-one
let's
in
go.
a one-to-one.
Yeah, one-to-one.
In a
Man needs to give him a
one-to-one.
one-to-one
Oh,
session.
Martinelli. But again, you can sometimes see what coaches prioritize.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you do the work without the ball,
Yeah.
the Arteta loves you. You've done
yeah,
50% of the work. Then your quality with the ball, so he wants everyone to be all rounder. But if you're attacking stuff dips, if you're giving him that work without the ball, he'll blind you. Because because that's what's kept Martinelli in the team. Let's be honest. His work
his
off
work
the
rate.
ball is unreal, and his work.
And it is needed because we do lack pace up there. When you've got Trossard, him and Kai, he's the only one
real out
who,
The pace.
who does that. And we're going to speak about someone who pacey in a bit as
But
well.
with his decision making such as Martinelli, oh my gosh. Anyway, moving on. Manchester City 3, Chelsea 1. Not a result that I thought they would arrive at so early. And the game started with a bit of a howler for the young debutant. And Chelsea were ahead
Not saying his name now.
3 minutes in. Oh, hold on.
Give it a go,
Calm
give it a go.
Calm down. Let me see. Kuzanov. It's calm.
Just check it.
Bit of bullying there.
We've had a few howlers on this pod.
I've had a few.
Not even complaints, but the pronunciations. And if you get one wrong on here, it gets clipped up quickly. Madueke. I'm not sold. I need to talk to you about him. I'm not sold on him.
We'll talk, man.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him. Put Chelsea ahead 3 minutes in after Kuzanov misjudged the header in the first place, went up for it, totally missed the ball. And then the ball was waist high, but he decided that he was going to try and head it back to the keeper. The ball's travelled a yard, maybe two.
Yeah, barely.
And Nicholas Jackson has stolen the ball in and rode.
Good awareness from Jackson, actually.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Very good assist.
But he's good at every part of his job apart from the crucial bit.
That's not true again.
No. So I'm a Jackson fan. I back him. But at the level he's playing at and where Chelsea want to get to, he needs to up the
Fair.
consistency.
Yeah.
But I just think his work rate, his movement, people would disagree with me, but I think his IQ as well, brother, is good. But the finishing, sometimes he's either hot or it's peak. You know, he's either hot or he just moves like, I don't even know. I don't even want to say a name. Anyway, and then it just seemed to peter out a bit. Gary Neville I think he overmade this point, but it was a fair point, but he over elaborated on it. You know, Chelsea didn't really press down that side enough. Nunez was right back. Kuzanov is right centre back. He's nervous. He looked shaky.
Yeah, he did.
Even got to the point where, they're recycling the ball around the back. Left back passes to left centre back. I swear. He turns. I was like, nah. Goes back to left back.
Yeah, because he
Or
got
goes
booked
just
like
to,
a minute afterwards, didn't
yeah.
he? Like,
And then he goes back to, or he goes into, what's my man that came up from Barca? Gundogan. But normally it would make the ball would make its way all the way around the back, switch the game of play, put the pressure that side. But Chelsea didn't really push on it. They didn't really push on that door. They didn't really switch the ball enough, give Sanchez enough of the ball to really attack Nunes, who's not a right back, let's be honest. And then that went on for a bit, and then Vardio kind of equalises in the 42nd minute. Ironically, the pass was to Nunes, the guy I was just saying, who had broken through. Sanchez makes a save, and then Vardio gets in. How the left back was the highest player. I mean, when you play for a pep team, anything's possible. And then Erling Haaland gave Chalobah a lesson in how he plays and his strength up front. I mean, one thing about that guy, he always gets his shot off in it.
Yeah, but when you've got an open goal to aim for,
I know. I was gonna say,
Sanchez.
but the finish was good though.
The finish was good, but
People talk about Sanchez, but that finish wasn't easy.
No, but he made it easier.
No, but the thing is, if you're saying to like an exceptional marksman,
I
loft the
agree.
ball into a vacant net 25 yards,
But when you
he can do it.
But when you look at it from behind, he's not like he put it to the side of Sanchez. He literally lobbed him. But yes,
But I
you're
think
right.
He looked at it like, why
Why
are you
here?
here?
Yeah.
He was like, right. Okay, cool.
The interesting thing about that goal is obviously watch it on TV. So you know when you're watching the game, there's things you expect. So Haaland's got the ball, is 1-on-1. And then I just see the keeper coming out the left of the screen. And I'm like, hold on.
But the thing is, like, when he got when he got caught out, he started retreating, then stopped. I was like,
keep going.
yeah, just keep going back. It's like his
Pick a
brain shut
struggle.
down. Like his
Pick a
brain
struggle,
shut down,
innit?
innit?
Like, if you've done it, commit to it.
Or,
That guy,
it just.
I just
Yeah,
don't
we said
understand
time
it,
and time
man.
again, like
I don't understand
you're not
it.
going to get anywhere with a keeper of his
But
level.
why does he keep him? Is he like one of these good with his feet, good with his distribution?
No, he can't pass the
He's
ball.
not- He used to be really good. When he was at Brighton, I thought he was actually
He's
like
okay.
a
We had
very
this
good
conversation, but Keith's
goalkeeper.
not been having him since Brighton.
Yeah.
Seriously, Brighton, his keeper saying the same
So
thing.
his last season at Brighton, he wasn't as good as because like previously when he first got into the team.
Yeah, because that's when Still started to come in.
Yeah,
So,
like him and Still used to rotate.
Yeah.
And then even when, fair enough, like I don't think they were ever going to keep Kepa because Kepa's up and down. Hasn't been that bad at Bournemouth, to be fair. Not
Kepa's
many.
better than him.
Yeah, not
by
many
a
I would
howlers.
argue Kepa's better than
Yeah,
him.
not
Kepa's
many.
definitely- there's no
not many
argument to
howlers.
it.
But when he came back from Real Madrid, they were like, "We're not going to keep you." Fair enough. I was like, of all the, I know there's not many goalkeepers out there, but of all the Premiership goalkeepers, why Sanchez?
But even they've got
Like-
that Petrovic guy who towards the end of the season was in for Poch, and he
Yeah,
wasn't that
but-
bad.
yeah.
Like I'm talking like obviously, like Maresca's obviously made a choice because he keeps playing
You
him,
know,
right?
he criticised him as well.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah,
still
Yeah,
playing.
but
like
then
Sanchez.
don't play him.
Yeah.
But he's still playing him.
They must
Yeah,
have been
I
enjoying
think
it.
Sanchez. I don't like to say players cost teams points, whatever.
Oh yeah,
But
Right.
you could
Nah, he
factually.
I think
he's
he's
made the
probably-
most. He's made 5. He's
errors.
made the
He's
most
made the
errors
most errors, yeah.
to cost.
Yeah, by the end of the season, you could probably factually look and say he's cost you guys X
Yeah,
amount of points,
100%,
which is a bad place to be as a goalkeeper, I think.
I found it interesting though that the way that the goal come about, a couple of the goals come about was from City playing it longer.
Yeah.
Like I think 2 of them come from that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like one,
Yeah, so one was an assist from Edison,
Yeah.
and then was it the second one when Haaland, the way he pinned Colwell for the third goal? Oh my days! Like I couldn't believe it.
So that's
like
that's another. Then when they didn't have Haaland, they had like Aguero.
Yeah.
They weren't playing like that.
No.
Man
Nope.
City. They weren't doing that. Like, and that's that's what I think that's just like class. Like it's fairly obvious, but like so to me, if a team's pressing you, like you can go. If you can't play through, then you can play over.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
and they played over. And
And this is not a long ball.
1v2 and then
Yeah.
and
And it's Edison, so it's not just a long ball. That's a precise pass,
Yeah.
right?
but how humbling! Like both your centre backs go in at full time, just got bullied by Haaland. Like
Man,
Chalobah for the
I wonder if Pep actually identified. Was it
100%.
Chalobah
And Colwell.
Yeah,
I
I think he did.
wonder if he did. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's just
Cole
the way they're gonna
definitely.
go, or
No
maybe
disrespect,
they
bro, but-
look at Chelsea and think that's a particular weakness.
100%.
Interesting.
I also
100%.
think because I know they signed a new player who started for them, so Omar
Mamouche.
yeah.
Mamouche.
Like, I didn't know anything about him.
Same.
Innit? I haven't watched him or I haven't watched Andrew Frankfurt.
I've heard good things, but not seen it.
Yeah, but one of the things I was really like interested in seeing, I think I said it earlier on, is that run from kind of like out to in. So sorry, from out to in.
yeah.
So he's right sided on the left hand side, and he just kept going in between the
With
fullback.
Reece James and
Like, just
Chalobah.
consistently, just doing that. And I think when you now spoke about them going longer, that then gives them a whole nother outlet. They haven't had many people who have gone through that way from that side. They've normally played like Bernardo out there. They played Foden out there for a while. Savino was out there as
And
well.
before it was
Doc-
Mahrez on
yeah.
the right side, yeah.
Or Doc, who's more jink. I'm gonna go down the line. Doc, who doesn't make that run as much, but especially not with the intention to try and score. Mamouche very quickly was like beating a shot off. So what they're trying to do now is from that outside in, they're saying we've now got another way to stretch it. And if they use that with, say, the ability to press, but then also the ability to pop long as they can do, then it just gives them a whole nother outlet to be able to kind of like really like put themselves on the front foot. And I'm really looking forward to seeing. Well, I hope he doesn't do it next week. But I want to really look forward to see what they do in that area next week against us.
I agree, because Doku wasn't even on the bench. He's injured.
I don't know.
And
Because remember, Savino was doing well for them at one stage, like last couple of games.
and the new
Now this,
and the new Brazilian kid was on the bench as well.
And
Yeah.
then you look at it, recruitment.
yeah,
Recruited.
Yes,
Recruit the right players.
yeah.
We
yeah.
talk about like
We had a
other
problem.
clubs,
We've
like
gone out and done it.
You mentioned Arsenal. You mentioned Tottenham. They're not messed around, and that's so the whole club
Yeah,
behind the
it's the
scenes.
mindset, yeah.
Pep's identified what he wants, and they've gone and delivered it.
And it's not the biggest money. Mamouche was 50 million or 60 million.
And Man City doesn't spend crazy
No.
like, on individuals like that. Like
Grealish
Grealish,
is
and then
the
mostly said
exception.
we're not doing that again.
Grealish is the exception.
Yeah, this is exactly that. All right, if we just round up the rest of the games.
United won today as well.
Yep, United won this evening as we were recording 1-0. Lissandro Martinez, one of the finishes was as good as he did against Liverpool. Away win for Man United. Relief for Amarim. He needed that. Yeah, he needed
Quite
that.
surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I thought Fulham would have
got a result.
Yeah.
Fulham,
Fulham,
sorry,
Fulham might have posed him a few problems. We didn't watch it, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's a good result for them.
It says here, Lissandro Martinez fortuitous effort. So yeah, a match lacking in quality chances.
Two Portuguese coaches.
Yeah, it was settled by a huge slice of fortune when Martinez struck from 30 yards, deflected off Lukic, and looped over Ben Leno.
Oh,
So it's one of those. It sounds like another dreary game. Aston Villa drew 1-1 with West Ham at home. Jacob Ramsey put them ahead in the 8th minute before Emerson equalised in the 70th minute. So is that first points for Potter?
I think, yeah. No,
No, he won his first game.
Oh, he
Won
won
his
his
first
first
game
game.
3-2. Then they got beat last week. And now this one.
So yeah.
Villa cooked them for about 25
Yeah,
minutes. I thought it was going to be 4 on 5s.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
the goal
then
disallowed
they
as
just-
well.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
slowly got back into it. So
Yeah, so a good draw for West Ham, probably disappointing one for Villa. Brentford beat Crystal Palace away 2-1. Penalty by Brian Mbeumo. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Yeah, he
Before,
got lucky.
Before Mbeumo actually did a run-up, Wissa was celebrating. There's a video of him celebrating in the background. He was that confident.
No,
Mbeumo was
but he missed the first,
first
one.
one.
yeah, but I'm talking about the second one. When he retook it,
I don't think you could celebrate after he just missed.
yeah, but he did. He literally, from the camera behind, you see Wissa running off celebrating. And then Mbeumo starts to run up and he scores. So it looks kind of sick actually, because as he's halfway through running celebrating, he just joins him running off as he scored it. And then he said to Mbeumo, he said, "Look, he's a good friend of mine on off the pitch. He was giving me confidence." And then is it Shade or Sade? Sade. Kevin Sade
Power.
puts them 2-0 up in 80th minute. And then Crystal Palace's new signing from Millwall.
Yeah.
yeah.
Romain Esse. So we've got Esse and Eze. He scores with his first minute, his first touch of Premier League. He scores to bring it back to 2-1, which is great. Good away win for Brentford. Ends Crystal Palace recent good form, but I don't think anyone's surprised by that result. Newcastle beat Southampton away 3-1. No shocks there. Isak with 2 goals in 4 minutes, 1 penalty, and another.
His second goal was so good.
Yeah.
Well, the finish. So his first touch. At first, I was like, "Oh, it's a bit baggy keeper," but then I watched it again and I said,
I don't think
that
it
tough
depends.
enough.
I don't think
It was a
penalty.
pen. It was
I
a
don't
pen.
think it was a pen.
It was a pen. He didn't touch the ball.
It was a pen
I'm
still.
guessing Isak's the striker you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that the saliva was just going out.
Bro. But you see that second goal? That second goal, I don't know if you've seen it, but that second goal,
That's what you pay for, isn't
it's
it?
almost like I can imagine coaches watching that and be like, "You see, the ball gets played into him at pace. He's side on half turn, Ball comes into him. Who you played? Gibberish?
No, Murphy.
No,
Murphy.
Murphy.
Dream team points.
Yeah. And and his first touch basically eliminates his marker,
Defenders and the
goalkeeper.
goalkeeper.
And the weight of the touch basically means keeper.
Can't come.
If it was Sanchez, he would have come. Basically, the keeper's like, do I? Don't I? By the time he figures out whether he should,
It's in the back of the net.
he's done a slide rule off the post and in.
He's got
Mad.
everything. He's got everything. I
Yeah.
think I saw him first. Was it Real Betis?
Yeah,
For example?
Robert, and he was there with Odegaard. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Sociedad.
Sociedad, yeah, Sociedad, yeah.
But I saw him when he was in Spain. I think I saw him when he was playing for Sweden. I saw him like even before he was at Newcastle. I think I saw one or two, and I thought he's quality. Like, and I expected someone to try and sign him. And I think he ended at Newcastle. How much did they pay for him?
70,
63.
Yeah,
50,
but
yeah.
it's still good business. Like,
I
he's-
think, yeah.
that's still good business because reality is he's got everything.
I mean,
Like,
Solanke
he's
was
he's
50,
he's £100 million player.
Easy now.
Yeah.
Like, so
Easy.
that shows it was good business.
Easy,
He's
easy.
He's a £100 million player. So
I mean, before all that, Southampton did go ahead through Bednarek. 10 minutes in.
Goal ruled out for offside as well.
And then Tonali, again, another good goal.
His
Good
goal
finish.
was
Yeah,
Good.
the-
Yeah,
The
his
run
goal
through.
was
The
good.
run was good
yeah,
though.
yeah,
And
yeah.
even like Gordon.
Good one
but
touch finish.
To be fair, in their recent run, a lot of people have been talking about Isak, Murphy.
No, but Tonali's been
Tonali's been quality.
DLP vibes,
midfield,
right?
Yeah,
midfield.
yeah,
That
he's
combination.
been so good.
Yeah, and I obviously he did what he did, but to come back from that, he's done well. The whole the whole
He's
betting
a good
thing.
player.
And then last but not least, Everton won away at Brighton 1-0 in Dye penalty. Listen, this booking him for that celebration business, I don't understand. What did he actually get booked for? Inside in the crowd or something?
Yeah.
Taking the joy out of football, right?
Yeah,
That's all.
bro.
Just
Yeah,
a bit of
massively.
banter.
It's not like he went to the crowd and was
And
doing a
swore
bad
at
thing.
them.
Vardy should have got.
He done it for quite a while.
Pure,
Like, I think he done it for longer than you would normally do a celebration for, but it's still nonsense. Like
Yeah, it's just. Do anyone know the backstory as to why he did that?
Seagull is the
No, I know,
No,
but
but-
has he
Oh,
got
no,
any
no.
personal thing with Brighton or?
no,
He
I
just-
don't think so. Just think he just
Maybe they
like-
might have been giving him a bit of stick during
Yeah,
the game.
maybe.
So what's that, boys? Two games, 2 wins. Yeah.
2 games, 2 wins. Got them playing at Liverpool. I might have to be worried now
Why?
Okay.
We're worried about what?
about Moyes.
Oh,
The
get
Moyes
out of here,
effect.
man.
Now I'm playing, but you can see it's mad, right? He's only been in for 3 weeks, and the instant change is just brought to them just a bit more free flowing, a bit more.
To be
aggressive
fair, it's
on the
not
front
hard
forward.
changing the style of play from Daesh, is it? Like I
Yeah,
can do
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Play forward.
You can't do that. You can't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
Score a goal.
yeah. Pass to the guy in front of you, not just all the way up there.
Dash is bad, man.
Yeah, bro.
I heard that, but yeah,
And well, look, that win puts Everton 6 points ahead of Leicester, who are below them in 17th, and 7 points away from the relegation zone. I mean, they're opening up that gap. It's 3 from 4 now, really, unless Everton, Tottenham, or West Ham do a madness.
Wolves are still in a lot of
Yeah,
trouble.
you got
aren't
Yeah,
they?
Yeah,
dragged
Wolves,
back in.
Wolves
Remember they
are
won
finished.
on a little run where it looked like they were going to be clear of it, but yeah,
I mean,
not looking good.
Tottenham have lost the same amount of games as Ipswich. Just saying. The stats are absolutely crazy. All right, and lastly, before we head off, just a couple of things. Transfer markets. It's been a bit quieter than usual, even though it feels like there are a lot of teams who actually need to make some moves this summer. Not this. I mean, this January. Not just let's top up the squad. No. You have major gaps that you need to fill.
Critical.
And it's been a little bit quieter than one would have expected. I think the only person that's done business that they need to do is City.
yeah.
Yeah, Ipswich have brought in Philogene from Villa.
That's the
and
next season,
some-
son.
They signed a defender as well.
Cisco, did they sign from Brighton? I think they signed someone online.
Yeah, they did. And Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did they brought a defender in as well?
Didn't they? Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Godfrey. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
Godfrey.
brought in
That's it. From
yeah.
Atalanta or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even last year,
And then Villa signed Marlon, and
Daniel Marlin. Yeah,
And Spurs signed the goalkeeper.
well, they needed to, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean the January transfer window last year, clubs only spent 96 million.
I think
The
it's losing
lowest
its
spending
appeal.
in 3 years.
Yeah, I think the January market's losing its appeal, just in terms of
Value.
like who you can get and what you can get them
I think
for.
PSR is another big thing as well.
Yeah, true.
Another bit like injuries might force me to look at something I wasn't planning on looking. If you ask me in August when we're going in January, be like, I'm all right. Injuries, but then do I want to handcuff myself for what I wanted to do in the summer? and you're in a really interesting conundrum now because you could spend a whole lot of money, get someone in on a 3.5 year, 4 year. Probably wasn't part of your plans for the summer. The player you're replacing comes back from injury. You know, you now got this stacked squad, and now your DOF is saying, yeah, nah. So you see that second transfer, just cross that off.
Yeah.
Like you're having such a different conversation in July. So again, if I just take my fan hat off a little bit, yeah, I can understand the dilemma that the Arsenals and a couple of clubs are in, because it really, now with PSR, it can really shape things for a decent amount of time. A real decent amount of time.
You see with PSR, it's based on Everton and the other teams.
Good, I know what you're going to say.
Wouldn't you take a 3-point hit?
Nah, bro.
But if you sign a £60 million player and you're saying he can get you 10 points,
can you guarantee it's a 3-point hit though? Because
that's
but I'm saying just based on because like Everton got what they had 2 charges, ended up with 4 points deducted, and then who was the other team?
Forest.
Forest got 3 points.
Someone said this over there. Someone said,
Like,
did Forest?
It's worth manipulating.
Did Forest take a calculated risk?
Yeah, I think they did.
And say, you know what?
Take this hit.
Well, hold it. As long as you don't get relegated, let's go.
Yeah.
It works out.
I don't know. When you see the owner talk, you think,
It's risky,
you
but
think, yeah, he would have sanctioned that.
yeah, it's risky, but
No,
but I know it's changing going forward the PSR,
Yeah.
but like it was something to.
Yeah,
think
but if
about,
you're
innit?
thinking that, the people that adjudicate the thing are thinking that, innit?
Yeah,
Because ain't Leicester in for one, but from the
Yeah,
EFL.
I was saying last week.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
if
they
they
go
get
back.
relegated.
They
this
get
big.
back.
Yeah.
They're throwing the whole library, not just the book. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think it's negligent to almost say, especially our clubs of the size we're talking about, to be like, you know what,
Yeah.
this is
But
going to
there's
cause us PSR problem.
Someone around the table said,
Yeah, definitely. The guy that doesn't work in finance, who won't be fired if they get points for because you know it doesn't look good. So yeah, I think it's just indicative of, I think PSR is the main thing. Otherwise, clubs like Arsenal and Co, they can spend, but whatever you're spending now, just take off the table. Just take off the table in July. Yeah, take off the table. And me as a fan, I want you to do what you need to do now for this season.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to guarantee. Teams are going to get bigger. Teams are going to get better. City are not going to be as rubbish next season as they were this season. We can
Liverpool
almost
might be
guarantee
better.
it.
Liverpool might be better.
Liverpool might be better next year. Deal with what's in front of you, says the guy who doesn't have to account for the for the investment and the 3 or 4 year contract after. But that's the view.
Certain players are worth it.
Indeed. And then lastly, this week we've got the final round of Champions League games. And if you're not aware of the new format, we've got all 18 Champions League games playing at the same time on a Wednesday. It's going to be a nightmare to watch. And the whole multi, you know, where they got the goal show, that's going to be even more annoying than ever. But I do like the concept of it. Everyone's playing at the same time. And we won't go through all the permutations, but due to time. But guys, do you think that the new format has done what they wanted it to do?
Yeah.
It's been more exciting. We've had less dead rubber games. The league format has, you know, basically done what we see every week in our home leagues, where doesn't matter how good or big you are, you got to turn up every week. You know, you got to do that. Do you think it's had the desired effect?
yeah, I think it's been good. I think it took a while for people to get invested. So, you know, we kind of said there've been, in the previous iteration, there were kind of dead rubber games, maybe like the last 1 or 2 games. You could kind of flip it on its head with this one. Say like the first 2 or 3 games don't really mean, not that they don't mean much, but there's not too much riding on them. But I think the games have still been good. And like we're going into the last group games on Wednesday, where you've got Man City. If they draw their game, they get eliminated from the competition from the off. And under the previous iteration, you would never have thought of Man City not qualifying from their group stage. Like their game with PSG last week had something riding on it late on in the competition. So yeah, aside from Liverpool being top, I'm here for the competition. It's good, man. I like it.
And just
But even with that, so Liverpool, I think the only 2 teams who are guaranteed qualification and will be in a set spot are Liverpool and Barcelona. Like there's so much variation. Like even Arsenal, I think someone can kind of come up and usurp them if they were to kind of like potentially lose by a certain amount. So for that to be like the team in third to still have a level of jeopardy in their final game, all the way down to what is it like? Is anyone? Some people are out. So you've got like Bologna, they can't get up there. So you've got from 3 to 27, that can all interchange.
You know that as it stands, when they do that,
Yeah.
that's going to be a madness, isn't it?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
Wednesday, it's going to be ever
gonna be
rotating.
crazy.
But I think, but even if I look at the timelines, and I know you talk about there being like lots more football as well, but to think, all right, Champions League games in January, like never had that before. Then we go into the next stage in February.
Yeah,
Like there's a
like early
nice,
February.
there's a nice run of just like always having that midweek football, and I like midweek football. There's
Same,
something
same.
about it. So I understand we need to bring down the amount that people are playing and stuff like that. But this, I think, has been one of the best.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, the best kind of like iterations I've seen for a competition in a long time.
I agree, and I know there's a lot of cynicism whenever UEFA do anything. It's driven by money and blah 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 blah. But once in a while, it ends up being
The product
the
is-
product is.
And
is
they had to
proper.
get this right,
Yeah,
like, because of the
Yeah.
Super League.
yeah. And do you think that now, because the whole thing was we need more games. More games means more money, right? They've given there's more games, right? Do you think this staves off the Super League, or do you think there's still an element of control that the clubs want over their competition that they want to take away from UEFA?
Well, I can't remember the name of the company, but they're kind of working in the background
Yeah,
to
I heard,
get this
yeah.
run.
Yeah.
But they don't have the buy-in from the big clubs.
Yeah.
And without the buy-in from the big club, you
It's
don't
a
get the
non-starter.
financial backing.
Yeah.
And you don't get the financial backing. with the big- so, like, I
Because
don't
it's only
think it's going to
Barcelona
work.
that is kind of.
No, I don't think it's
I
Barcelona.
don't know
I
even
think
with
it's
it
like,
no more.
Real Madrid, and that's it.
yeah. And
I
then it goes
thought
down
Barcelona
to, like,
was looking into it. Which made sense.
mid-tier kind of Italian teams
Yeah.
that are interested.
Yeah.
And
For
yeah,
the-
like the prize money for this Champions League has gone up as well. So
I just think it's just like you said, all round more exciting, more enjoyable. Like seeing top teams face each other a lot quicker, a lot earlier. It just makes
Well, I
it
mean,
so much more
Celtic
addictive.
have got Celtic at least guaranteed a knockout playoff place. So from 18th all the way up, look at some of the other teams in there
Brest.
guaranteed. Brest are
have-
here,
yeah.
Lille, Feyenoord, Monaco, who aren't doing that great in France. I think the top 8 is populated by regularist teams: Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter. I think Arsenal, Inter, they only need 1 point to
Yeah, they should
guarantee
be alright,
knockout.
yeah.
But yeah, it's really. I mean, I love it. I think it's great. You know, Villa are 9th. So I think for once they've progressed the competition in a good way. Now they just need to get rid of what's the other Europa competition?
Well, the conference.
Yeah.
Nah, man.
I think it's alright.
Yeah, it's good,
Dash
man.
that, bro.
It's good. I think it's good.
Man, it's a competition for
The
competition's sake.
UEFA Cup was a like cornerstone of
We've got Europa
football.
League. Europa League's a UEFA Cup.
Sorry, no,
No,
it's a Cup Winners' Cup.
Cup.
Cup Winners' Cup.
Cup
Sorry,
Winners'
yeah,
Cup.
Cup Winners'
Bro,
Cup.
no, get
Bro,
it.
Wait, that was your last
That's
European
the
trophy.
Trophy in Europe
Arsenal.
that Arsenal's
Yeah,
won.
so you need-
Yeah, that says more about Arsenal than the cup.
Put some respect with it, man.
That-
Yeah,
that
nah, I'm
finals.
with you. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
that's it,
Our
that's it.
European record is
That's it.
Back to back
And
finals for Arsenal.
and
man.
that's where
that's your thing.
No, but that's where I'm cynical of UEFA. You've just got these teams traveling to the nether regions of the continent just to put games on.
Who's top of that? Chelsea.
And
But you
yeah,
also say
have
that,
you
but
seen
then-
some of the places Chelsea have played?
Yeah,
They
but
don't
then-
even cover the. They don't even cover the results on Talksport.
Come on, it's
Yeah,
mad.
this is Chelsea.
It's
But
mad.
remember,
Not even Chelsea. I
No,
don't
but
even
we
know
need
they've
to
been
think
playing.
about it. You've got a team like West Ham who've had probably one of their greatest moments in the last, say, 50, 60 years because of that
Again,
competition.
Yeah,
that
their fans are not gonna
that
forget
says
that.
more about
Yeah.
West Ham than
No,
the
they-
cup.
No, I hear you, but what you're doing is you're giving a level
whole-
of you're giving
rid
a
of
level
it,
of
man.
like success,
Aspiration.
aspiration
Get out of there.
for
Get-
teams.
get
I
rid
think
of
it's,
it.
I
It
think,
needs
I think
to
it's
be
ve-
there, man.
I think it's very, very good. I think
Yeah.
it's very, very good.
Do you know who Jugend are?
No, but
Swedish. Come on, man.
If you got that right, I'm going to be steaming.
You saw the flag.
All right.
I'm outside, man.
On that note, listen.
Sorry, Jay. Before we go, you just want to plug your Born to Ballers again, like
Yeah.
where they can find you.
Yeah,
etc.
you can have a look at the kind of private stuff that we do. It's just basically like academy players. We got them from across London and like South England. We've got kids coming from Bournemouth. We've one coming from Southampton, like to
Wow.
South East London. So where we do it. So yeah, you'll be able to see some of the. If you go on our Instagram page at Born to Ball, you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we do. And yeah, that's that.
Listen, thanks for coming on. Really
man,
appreciate your insight.
no worries.
Definitely gonna have you back on soon, guys. As always, please like, subscribe, and share. Comment too. You know you're gonna talk some nonsense in the comments, but we enjoy it. And we'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.